Hello and you're very welcome to the beginning of the 113th edition of Tour de France. Le Grand Boucle, once again, the 27th occasion in the history of this fine and extraordinary race. The Grand Départ is outside of France. It's in the extraordinary surroundings of Barcelona, in the shadow of Sagrada Familia, among other wonderful architectural presentations to us. We've got 21 stages in prospect across 3 weeks of bike racing, 184 of the world's best riders, 23 teams. This is what the season is all about. Let's hear from Anders Milke. He's in contact with Albert.
Señores y señoras, bienvenidos al Gran Salida.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Départ here in Barcelona.
Mi compañero, ex ganador del Tour de Francia, Alberto Contador.
Consultant, previous Tour de France winner, Alberto Contador. Alberto, tell me, what does it mean as a Spanish guy to witness the Grand Départ from here in Spain? For sure it is special. It's the third opportunity for the Tour de France. It started from San Sebastian when there was Indurain. Recently it started from Bilbao and now from Barcelona. The city is overwhelmed, and as a Spanish guy it always feels special. And we will start with a special discipline, the team time trial. What do you think about it and what do you remember from it as a former rider? It will be a very intense day, a stressful day, a day with lots of protocols and a day where the timing is really important, a day where you are wearing the time trial suit all the time. We've seen how the teams had to reorganize or recognize the route. A lot of them will manage the pressure and nervousness worse than others. It'll be a difficult day. Who are the favourites for today? I think Team Netcompany Ineos has a lot to play for, but so does Team UAE, especially because the last stretch suits Tadej well. Team Lidl Trek also can do well. We'll see. Do you think that Tadej Pogacar can take the yellow jersey today and keep it until the finish in Paris? Yes, we're ready. The Tour de France starts today and now in Barcelona. Well, Tadej Pogacar arrives at the 2026 Tour de France as the overwhelming favourite. His season has been exceptional. Wins at Strade Bianche, Milan-San Remo, Tour of Flanders, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, plus overall victories at the Tour de Romandie and the Tour de Suisse. His form is unmatched. Pogacar insists he won't minimise the opposition.
The best competition,
I think
the best competitors, everybody is in the top shape for the Tour, and yeah, I think this year is quite similar, but yeah, I think there's gonna be a big fight for a victory, definitely. Yeah.
Isaac Del Toro lines up as Pogacar's key lieutenant, but his ceiling is far higher. The Mexican has the talent to lead many World Tour teams, and even here in full support of Pogacar, he's strong enough to fight for a podium.
And then we are focused on the race, so we need to be attentive, we need to be critical with ourselves, and for sure be there for Tadej.
Jonas Vingegaard arrives as Pogacar's main opponent at the 2026 Tour de France. The Dane has already taken a major victory this year, winning the Giro d'Italia with trademark precision and control. His climbing strength, his pacing, his discipline and his ability to peak for Grand Tours.
I'm really motivated, I'm really in a good shape, and I'm really ready to fight here for the next 3 weeks.
And beyond Vingegaard, the other main threat to Pogacar comes from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Remco Evenepoel leads the squad with his trademark time trial strength and sharp accelerations, while Florian Lipovitz brings the climbing consistency that has transformed him into a genuine GC force.
Here is super strong, and also with Remco, what I saw, he is I think in the best shape as what he so far had, and I'm really looking forward to race.
I think it's a good approach for us. I think both individually we know that we cannot beat them one by one, so that's why we're here with the two of us. Florian has been showing a high level over the whole year, and yeah, we start to know each other more and more, so it's going to be a good race to try and go for it together. So we are ready for all the kinds of racing, so we are ready to do it.
Paul Sexas enters his first Grand Tour as a real disruptor. He was the only rider able to follow Pogacar at Strade Bianche and Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and he's already taken major wins at Flèche Wallonne, the Tour of the Basque Country. His rise has been explosive. France sees in Sexas one of its brightest hopes. his dream would be to win it, the Tour de France, but I think that it's a lot of people's dream. To be part of it already is a dream. To be here at the start line and to see how it goes feels great. Well, can he add his name to that roll of honour? Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard between them have locked out the last 6 editions of Tour de France. Egan Bernal is back on the start line. Geraint Thomas is marshalling affairs from beyond at this point. Chris Froome is finally retired.
So.
Well, teams have been arriving for several days now. Can Tadej Pogacar join the 5 winners club? Miguel Indurain, of course, 5 in a row back in the early 90s. Bernard Hinault, well, will he be replaced as the last Frenchman to win the Tour by Paul Sexas? This year there are so many different options. Red hot favourite, of course, in Tadej Pogacar, but it's a really, really strong GC. And various predictions coming in from our experts. Jonas Vingegaard says Hannah Walker. Pretty much everyone else reckons it's Pog in the drive for 5. Well, as you might imagine, there's plenty of attention on Juan Ayuso, as he is signing a few autographs as well for the fans here at the start. And Juan Ayuso getting loads of attention, the Barcelona native, and now has the opportunity to lead the Lidl Trek squad rather than being a bit part player in the UAE. Can he stand up and challenge his former team leader? Well, on the eve of the Tour's Grand Depart in Barcelona, Alberto Contador had the chance to chat with Juan Ayuso. Let's hear what the Spaniard had to say. How has your approach been to the Tour de France? Well, after the Tour of Basque Country, I had to take a slightly bigger break, and that delayed all of my preparation. When I arrived in Dauphiné, I lacked quite a bit of training. I could feel it, but I was happy still with my performance. Also, I improved throughout the week on such a hard race, but I had the flu on the last day, which meant I couldn't get the best result. After recovering from the flu, I started training little by little, getting better again. The last weeks, I've done very good training sessions, much better than before the Dauphiné, so it gives me more confidence.
Unos entrenamientos muy buenos, que mucho mejores que antes de Dauphiné, entonces me da más confianza.
What tactics do you have in mind? I think that UAE and Visma have to bear the weight of the race. Obviously, I don't have to be the one to decide where and when the race will explode. There are riders like Tadej or Vingegaard who have to bear the responsibility, and I need to take advantage of that and try to follow. Spend as little energy as possible and wait for the last weeks, which is where I think it'll be decided. What result in Paris would you sign for? I'd like to follow the progression I've been making in recent years, which for some reason or others has been sometimes interrupted. I dream of the podium. I think it's ambitious but realistic at the same time. Being on the podium is what we aim for. Well, Lidl Trek have hedged their bets a bit. They've got the likes of Mads Pedersen in their lineup as well, but it's really, really strong lineup ahead of this stage 1 team time trial. First time, of course, that there's been a team time trial to start the Tour de France since 1971. Indeed, the first team time trial of any sort. And it is a new format, of course, but first team time trial since 2019, longest break between them. In 1971, the Tour de France's first team time trial was held in Mulhouse. It took the form of an 11-kilometre prologue featuring 4 laps of a flat circuit. There were a total of 13 squads, each made up of 10 riders. And on a straightforward course, the average speed for the best times was above 50 kilometres per hour. There'll be a 20-second time bonus for the winning team, with 10 seconds for second place, 5 for third. BIC, the team of one of the GC contenders, Luis Ocana, ended up in 4th place. The big favourite was, of course, the two-time and defending champion Eddy Merckx. Heading up the Molteni lineup here, the Belgian legend setting the pace in the final part of the prologue. Because, of course, the first rider from the winning team to cross the line would take the yellow jersey. Merckx making the perfect start as he took victory ahead of his teammates Stevens and Huysmans. Merckx would ultimately remain in the yellow jersey for most of the first week of that tour, despite losing it briefly in the Alps to Joop Zoetemelk and Okada. The Cannibal recovered it in the Pyrenees en route to winning a third consecutive Tour de France. That was Merckx in 71. Can Tadej Pogačar emulate him with a fifth victory? Today's course a little bit longer than that Mulhouse one back in 1971, but still a relatively short test for the riders. Keep it cool. The order of the day for much of the day. And here is what's in prospect today in Barcelona. 19.6 kilometers. In and around the urban sprawl of this beautiful capital city of Catalonia. Pretty much pan flat till the end when it isn't. 3 intermediate timing points along the way at 5, 10 and 16 kilometers. Got 2 climbs. Those ramps to the finish are going to dictate how things are played out. All the riders, of course, will retain their time from this event, and that's what's making this a key. And it's very different prospect compared to team time trials that have taken place in the past. Cahal Rural, of course, is going to be the first team into action very shortly. It's a team with stage-winning ambitions. Maybe not going for GC. It'll be followed in by Team Picnic Post NL. Wonder who everyone's going for this year.
Stage 1, the opening team time trial of Tour de France 2026 will be won by Netcompany Ineos. It is a squad full of engines, what is needed for a team time trial, and I think Netcompany Ineos will win the TTT, and Kevin Vauquelin will take the first yellow jersey in this year's Tour de France.
De eerste etappe van deze Tour de France.
Well, the first stage of this Tour de France, a team time trial in Barcelona, will be won by Netcompany Ineos. There are a few teams that are evenly matched, and it's not easy to predict the winner. It will come down to the details. Every rider of Netcompany Ineos is very strong in this discipline, and I think they'll be ready to take more risks than the other teams. They will win the team time trial, and who will cross the line first? Kevin Vauquelin. He will put on the first yellow jersey in Barcelona. Well, my favourite for the opening team time trial is UAE Team Emirates. I think it'll be a battle with them, Ineos and Red Bull, but I'm still confident with UAE and Pogačar. They'll be first to cross the line. And the other experts, Hannah Walker's going with a Visma Lisa bike theme to our predictions. Netcompany Ineos, though, across the board, predicted by the likes of Contador, Chanel, Baranovsky, Voigt and Carl Frederick Hagen. Well, we're building up now to the appearance of the first team. As I mentioned, Cahal Rural, huge moment for them. Just 5 minutes to the start of Tour de France 2026. Well, what a beautiful team presentation a couple of days ago. Plenty of presentation indeed of the various different cultural themes on this part of the world. Great occasion for everyone in Catalonia.
I know you like aerodynamics, you like all the tech pieces. In your role and your position in the team, how big a day is today?
don't get bigger than this. This is really the biggest day, like what we've been working on for a very long time, literally for months, just working towards this day, like with the equipment, but also with all other sort of ideas, innovation, etc. There's so much that you can do, so much you can research, you can calculate. You know, this is a really cool event.
What has changed on the bike? We have the mechanic Rune working on it behind us. What has changed on the bike since the last TTs the team did?
Yeah, so in Auvergne Rhône Alpes, we obviously did a team time trial, and there also the riders were indicating that it was going to be a good idea to have some color coding on the bikes. So yeah, we have on the rear stay and on the front fork there is like a sticker with a certain color. The riders will also have that color on the shoe cover. So yeah, it is just hopefully that the riders can recognize each other a little bit easier. You know, when you're on the limit and you swing off the front, when do you go and swing back into your position on the group? If you need to count to 7 every single time, sometimes when you count wrong, then you got to close 1 meter. So when you just see in the corner of your eye certain colors come past, you know behind which color you are, and hopefully that saves just a tiny bit of energy.
And Koen, you remember well from your time TTTs how unpredictable they are. I reckon you've had a lot of scenarios in your head and in the team about how to approach this TTT. But the riders, when they start, is it going to be like planned always?
Never. No, I think with one thing I learned as a pro bike rider, also in the sprint preparations, etc., it never goes as you plan. But yeah, hopefully we have also enough experience in the team, which I believe we have, that they are very adaptable and they can adapt to the plan. We also try not to make the plans too detailed. You know, you can tell a rider you're going to ride on the front from that point to that point, but I think that makes no sense. It's just too many variables you can't control. So what we try to do is kind of like indicate a little bit like where do the riders need to ride on the front longer, where do they need to ride shorter. Of course, it's an interesting team time trial with these hills in the end, individual times, so many scenarios possible, and also looking forward to seeing what other teams come up with.
Do you think now, here where we're standing, a few hours before the start, that you can take the first yellow jersey?
I believe that we can. Yeah, I mean, I know that we're not the main favorite for it, but I think we are close to that, and I believe on the right day, with everything going right, we can take it.
Thank you, Koen, and good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so many possibilities in front of all of the riders. 21 stages. The season boils down to this one in many respects. Biggest race of the year by miles. Biggest race of this young man's career. Just 19 years of age. Youngest Tour de France entrant since the mid-1930s. And youngest by more than 2 years. Casper Philipsen knows what it's like to take stage victory and look towards battles to come later in the week. Just one example of the extraordinary architecture that is peppered throughout the Catalan capital of Barcelona. 1.67 million in this beautiful city, which has played host to Tour de France in the past, but now is a Grand Départ venue. And now at last, Tour de France 2026 is about to get underway. I'm delighted to say my name is Declan Queally, and I am joined by Brian Smith for the beginning of the Tour de France. John Mould will be along in a while. We'll hear from Matt Stevens during the day as well. We're going to see Caja getting into action very shortly. Tour de France 2026 begins outside of France for the 27th time and for the third occasion in Spain. We're in the capital of Catalonia. We're in Barcelona, and we're about to get going with the shortest stage of this 3,321.2 kilometre event. It is, though, the critical and crucial team time trial. Caja Seguros, proud moment for them. The latest incarnation of this team makes its bow in the Tour de France on a wildcard invitation, and a huge moment for all of these 8 riders as they have the honour of beginning Tour de France 2026. And the Caja squad with Fernando Gaviria, by miles their most experienced rider, and although he's yet to finish from his 2 previous participations, but he has scored a couple of stage victories. They'll see if they can back him up for something similar during the week. As I mentioned, Brian Smith is alongside to enjoy the 3 weeks of great racing action. Brian, you looking forward to this one? We've got an innovative format for the Team Time Trial. It's familiar, I suppose, to fans of Paris-Nice and lately for the Tour of Rhône-Alpes, but it is a little bit unusual given that this is a format that's never been used in the Tour de France before.
Yeah, first and foremost, it's good to see Caja Rural back. It's been, what, the 1980s since La Reta was around, so they've not been at the Tour for many, many years, and it's quite apt. We're starting in Barcelona and not too far away from, you know, the headquarters of Caja Rural, so nice to see them here. I think, like you said, Declan, stage hunting, not too sure they'll be looking at the general classification, but let's wait and see in this. But yeah, this is a very unique formula. It's something with excitement. In the past, it was on the third or fourth rider across the line, and I've been in a Team Time Trial where it has been an uphill finish, and you're kind of juggling, because if you want to get the kind of fourth rider, the strongest rider can't just zip up the final couple of climbs and taste victory. So you really have to have that balance. But this is very unique. This is like a modern road version of the Olympic sprint in the track, pretty much. So, you know, what you're trying to do is propel your best GC rider to a finish, you know, the best time at the finish. So this part of the course, and we saw the wind there, the wind is southerly winds. There's a lot more headwinds in this course than there is tailwinds, and of course you get these couple of climbs towards the ends, and everybody's watched the Vuelta a Catalunya with the Montjuic circuit. You know, it's pretty hard, so it is about using your pawns in the right places. And I think the favourite for me is Netcompany Ineos, because they have got some firepower in that team, but they've got to finish it off with the climb up to Montjuic. So I think it's really going to be interesting how the teams decide to do this, because right in a Team Time Trial with a third or fourth rider across the line is where the time is taken. The time is taken on the first rider across the line. That's going to be the interesting one, and like Paris-Nice, it got rather exciting, and I think we're going to see a really exciting race today, and potentially Pogačar maybe taking that yellow jersey.
Well, will he win, or will it be the Netcompany Ineos squad, and will it be Kevin Vauquelin that leads their charge up that final ramp? The two climbs, of course, inside the final couple of kilometres, and that's what makes it, I think, particularly interesting and particularly mouth-watering, the prospect of this Team Time Trial. How do you deploy your resources? Exactly what riders do you use and when? How many riders do you need to keep available to you coming to those couple of climbs towards the Côte de Montjuic, as you mentioned? We're coming up ultimately into the park in Montjuic, which just sits off to the side of Barcelona. It'll be familiar, as you say, to many fans, not just of Olympic sports back in 1992, or even the old Spanish Grand Prix back in the mid-1970s, but the Volta a Catalunya, traditional final stage host venue, has been the park at Montjuic, and we'll go up the Côte de Montjuic with 3.7 kilometres remaining. It's just 1,100 metres, just over 5%, just to give the bare statistic. That one is going to thin out the troops a little bit, and then the final ramp up, the Côte du Stade Olympique, just 800 metres long, it's 7%. It will be all guns a-blazing on the monument of Christopher Columbus, looking down over the riders. That's pretty close, actually, isn't it, to the entrance of the park?
Who's he pointing to? That's the question.
Is he pointing to UAE, or is he pointing to Netcompany Ineos?
That is the question.
Second team indeed into action. Team Picnic Post NL. A mixture of experience and callow youth in this one. Three of their lineup making their debut in the Tour de France, but John Degenkolb among their number, one of four riders who first took part in Tour de France as far back as 2013. It's our second team into action. Just to give you some of the times, it's currently 9 minutes past 5 Central European time. Netcompany Ineos will be into action at 18:15. Final team into action, as you would expect. The reigning champion will be represented by the UAE Team Emirates squad, 18:55. That's local time in Barcelona. immediately settling into that rotation. Fascinating, wasn't it, to hear from Koen de Kort at the Lidl Trek squad talking about how they're color coding the bikes and the clothing of the riders so that they can recognize each other. I mean, what's the main advantage?
Well, he actually mentioned it. It's recognising where the riders are. Just to give respect where it's due. Alex Dowsett came up with that, the British rider. He started that with Astana. It's just when you're flat out and your heart rate's going. It's one of these situations, like he said. It's a little bit. If you watch track racing, it's to the centimetre how they change in a team pursuit. Okay, we'll get 8 riders here in each team. It's recognising the colours. So if it's blue, the last man here, that's the last man coming up. You don't have to count 1, 2, 3 riders. So you just see the colour and you know that you have to make that effort. The thing is, in the team time trial here, they are going flat out as you would in a short time trial like this. And when the heart is pumping, the adrenaline is racing, a colour is easier than possibly counting the riders. And you don't really recover until you're pretty much in the middle of this string. So this rider here, 221 at the back here, he's done his turn at the front. He's in oxygen jet, he's suffering, but he's not going to recover until he gets about 2 or 3 riders up, and then you start to prepare yourself for it. But just look at to keep the speed up. They're doing shorter turns. You'll see some of the kind of stronger teams longer turns at the front, because you've got to remember in this course, Declan, as well, you have got just under 20 corners, you've got a few roundabouts, and you can't change in these places. So it really is a lot of looking and sitting down and looking at this course and judging how long you do at the front, because the last thing you want to do is drop the speeds. You want to keep the speed up. So if you're dropping the speeds, you pull off and come to the back, and that's what we're seeing with Caja Rural. That's why we're seeing shorter turns, because they're trying to ride fast enough. Here, Picnic Post NL, well, they're riding a little bit longer, so they'll all be judging. A team time trial is about riding at certain speeds, not dropping the speed, not lifting the speed, but it's deciding where the changes happen. Sometimes you have to go a bit longer, especially when you've got a corner like this.
It's Coastal Town, and you can see that those flags are fluttering, and the riders will be buffeted from all directions on this 19.6 kilometre course. Trying to keep things knitted together through those bends as well is going to be challenging and complicated, and these riders will have been working away. It's great. I mean, it's pure Tour de France, isn't it, to see so many different flags of so many different nations. It's not all about Catalonia, it's not all about Spain, and so many different fans will have come here for the Grand Départ. But yeah, it's a good point, isn't it, that the main objective is to maintain the pace, not to increase it as you ride through. It's all about trying to keep the motivation, keep the agenda as high as you possibly can.
The thing about it, Declan, is even half a kilometre an hour makes a difference, or 1 kilometre an hour. It's the same, like he's saying here, like keep the pace down. It's too hard. This shows to me that Caja Rural have not done a lot of kind of scoping the course and a lot of training in this area. You can see them, it's not in one line. They've slowed up a little bit, it's kind of bunching a little bit. They're doing shorter. What they've been told to do is go out and try and set it. You normally get a kind of road captain. In the past, I was kind of road captain, so you went out in a team time trial and set the pace, and hopefully everybody kept that pace. Because they judge the pace that you can do. It's very difficult to judge because you've got a couple of climbs towards the end. But, these guys are riding at 55, 56 kilometres an hour. Any change in speed at half a kilometre an hour makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that was Stefano Oldani, by the way. The one he was gesticulating to the team car behind. They have 3 different team vehicles that will follow each of the teams, and those 3 team vehicles for Total Energy about to slot in. Meanwhile, things going a little bit pear-shaped for Picnic Post NL. This is Warren Barguil, 2-time Tour de France stage winner, has already been detached has a 30% time cut, so it ought to be relatively comfortable for Warren Barguil to ensure his continued participation in the event, but clearly he's not going to be able to assist the Team Picnic PostNL squad, so one wonders what they're going to plan for. Frank van den Broek perhaps at the back end on the climb. Team Total Energy have in their lineup Jordan Giguet, 10th place 12 months ago. Stage finish of 7th along the way, and Giguet made a bit of a name for himself, didn't he? And of course they've got Anthony Turgis as well, fine sprinter, the kind of rider who can infiltrate a group, and not many will get past him if he can find the right move. First 3 days of racing action in and around Barcelona, and then into the Pyrenees indeed on day 3 already. Tomorrow's a grippy one, first road race stage, up and down.
Yeah, I just noticed here, Declan, that we came round one of the corners there and Warren Barguil lost the wheel. They're obviously waiting on him. You don't normally do this. As you said, it's 30% time limit. You wouldn't worry too much about it, but it's all clearly obvious that Warren Barguil is a rider they want to look after, and they're conceding a lot of time at the moment, but that is the plan. And we heard from Corin de Kock there, well, you can plan all you want in a team time trial like this, the first stage. There's a lot of nerves. I would say this is probably a harder start than anybody wanted. Sometimes you get a prologue in the Tour de France, and okay, it's a long day for riders kind of hanging around waiting for your time and riding on your own for a certain amount of time. Most, given the choice, would prefer a road stage, because you can slowly go into it. The breakaway goes away, you slowly ride into it. This is one of the hardest events that you could have, right? Because you're riding in a team, you don't want to let your team down, and all of a sudden Warren Barguil, they're all waiting for him. It's all over the place.
Yeah, on both teams, interaction are already all over the place. John Nicolau, lonely road for him. Already fractures in the Caja Seguros RGA squad. Mind you, they look pretty smooth and collected compared to Team Picnic PostNL, who are all over the place. We saw Frank van den Broek and Nicolas Merkel back with their man Warren Barguil. They put the band back together again, which is good news. They'll reset and go again, but I don't think they're going to be challenging for the yellow jersey today. John Degenkolb at the back of their lineup. That famous stage win of the cobbles, didn't he? Many years ago now. And the 37-year-old veteran.
It's a strange one,
important for this team,
Declan, because I wouldn't think Warren Barguil is going for the general classification. So you'd wait for someone that maybe is there for the GC. And I think looking at Team Picnic PostNL, Frank van den Broek is potentially, a GC rider, maybe potentially a top 10. But I think the rest, stage hunting, good to see Pablo Bittner there. He's back from a really nasty injury. The Czech sprinter, but it's a strange one. I think maybe they just wanted to guarantee that it was inside the time limit more than anything.
Mr. Camp Nou was in it once. They're reducing the capacity actually down to a paltry 106,000 from the 120-odd thousand that can get, well, have been able to get out into it until recently. Barcelona Football Club play their home games there. Actually, when you approach that stadium, it doesn't look all that impressive at all. It's only when you get inside you realise that it sort of goes down much lower than than ground level, and it's an absolutely enormous structure. Enormous challenge now for the Team Picnic PostNL squad to post a representative time for their lead rider at the end of this one. And as you say, I mean, they're going stage hunting. This for honour, really. They want to keep Warren Barguil in there and make sure that everybody's going to get home safely without any pressure. Tom Pidcock's organising the wardrobe for the Pinarello Q36.5 pro cycling team. Meanwhile, Caja Rural Seguros, and 1989, by the way, Brian, was the last appearance of the old Caja Rural squad. They got some sponsorship after that, and they kind of changed the structure a little bit, but yeah, they were called Paternina for that final year, but they were all the Caja Rural squad. As you mentioned, Marino Lejarreta was their superstar of the 1980s. Let's bring Tudor Pro Cycling into action. Their Tour de France about to begin. Loads of experience in that lineup. 3 riders making their debut, including Arvid de Klein. Indeed, Arvid de Klein making his Grand Tour debut somewhat remarkably in this event. Rick Plimer's Yanis Vosal will also be sampling the Tour de France for the first time. Julian Alaphilippe, though, 34 years of age, 6 times a stage winner in his home Grand Tour, and the former world champion come up with something a little bit special. With the likes of Mark Hirschi as well, Michael Storer likely to be their GC favourites. Will they go hunting for GC, or will they go looking for stages? Cheetah Pro Cycling, the 4th of our 23 teams into action in this first stage of Tour de France 2026. The shortest stage of the race, but a hugely stressful start to the occasion, as Brian has already mentioned, because there's so much pressure, isn't there, on you to be able to step up for the team. And if you're on a bit of an off day, it can be a real purgatory just hanging on in there, and being able and feeling that responsibility of supporting the team is a very much heightened experience.
100%. It's, you know, looking at a prologue against a team time trial is totally different. In a prologue, most of the riders can just give it, you know, 90%, but now with a team time trial, you don't want to let your team down. You've got a job to do, and it's nerve-wracking. So yeah, I think this is a brutal start, especially with the climb up to Montjuic at the end. This is a brutal start to the Tour de France.
What an amazing occasion, what a beautiful backdrop. A sensational sight. And for Team Picnic Post now coming up short of the the second intermediate against Caja Rural Seguros. Jens Vogt would have loved this one, I suspect. He's on the motorcycle for us. Let's get his first report.
And here we are at the Tour de France, stage 1 just started. I'm behind Caja Rural. They already have lost 2 riders, notably their sprinter Gaviria and Caja Rural. If they go slow, they do 60 or more. The fastest I saw on my motorbike was 75, 76 kilometers an hour on a slightly downhill part. The course, mostly large roads, good surface. It's warm, but not crazy hot. It's supportable for the riders. Not too many dangerous corners. It's more or less bigger 90-degree turns, 1 or 2 roundabouts so far. So it's a fast circuit, not too dangerous, and teams are falling apart. Now Caja Rural dropped rider number 3, rider number 4. Remember, it's not the team that counts, it's one rider that needs the fastest time possible. So that is a spectacle we never seen before. Back to you commentators.
Yeah, cheers, Jensen. That is a total disintegration as they hit the first hill. Sebastian Berwick, who we might have expected greater things from on the climbs, and certainly will, I think, as we get through the event, finding the going a little bit challenging. Abel Balderstone as well, local rider, is also in a world of hurt, and this is not exactly how he would have envisaged his Tour de France debut. Nonetheless, maybe this is at the front of the group, and maybe they're setting up nicely, and it's not quite as disappointing as you might imagine that this is actually how they're setting up, Brian.
No, everybody's got a plan. You know, they want to propel their best rider to the finish, and like you say, this is the first of the climbs. You know, they've got Molenaar here, the Dutch rider there, second at the back there, 224. 228 is Jose Felix Parra from Spain. I would think they're the best bet for the general classification. So, you know, it's an all-out effort, and it's one of these things that it's very difficult to train for unless you train on this particular course, and that's never going to happen. So it's a very difficult one. From what I've seen so far, Caja Rural not here for the team time trial. They're here to try and win a stage of this year's race, having not been in this race for many years.
Jose Felix Parra is in pretty good form though, starting the Tour de France, and Molenaar just hanging on grimly with the final hill to come after that one. Now Groupama, FDJ United, Romain Gregoire resplendent in the tricolour stripes, having claimed victory in the National Road Race Championships last weekend. Part of the Groupama FDJ United lineup, including the likes of Clement Berthet Clement Braz making his Braz Afonso making his debut. Lorenzo Germani as well, also a debutant. Ewan Kostu as this climbing going to go. Guillaume Martin, Quentin Pache, Clement Urso. That's your 8-rider lineup getting into action for the Groupama FDJ squad. And already we've seen that this is a hugely challenging event to try, I mean, technically demanding in just about every sense, as we look at the final 2 riders available to try and set a representative time for the Caja Rural Seguros. Each and every rider, of course, across the line gets that time that takes them to complete the 19.6-kilometer time trial. So basically, as a team, you're supporting each other to try and propel one rider forward at the very end. And now for the Caja Rural squad, it's Molenaar, the only rider there with Para. Which one is going to be the better of the two when they come to that final 800-meter ramp? Seems like a pretty good time to introduce John Mould to the equation. John Mould, of course, the director sportif for the Unibet Rose Rocket squad, and welcome along, Mouldy. Looking forward to this one. I think this is the kind of event that you would enjoy planning for, if not necessarily riding.
Yeah, it's really one of those races or events you really get stuck into, really look at it in all the detail. You can run, the big teams now running so many simulations is the best way of doing it, and there's just so much to do, and you get that buzz when you're a rider as a team, as a big effort, and it's something special about a team time trial, I've got to be honest.
And what have you seen so far? I mean, obviously you've been watching with interest as the likes of Picnic Post and and Caja Rural have kind of disintegrated. Now we're into that springboard situation where Molenaar has been sent on with the great good wishes of Para and the rest of his teammates. It's down to one to see what sort of a time he can come up with.
Yeah, it's an interesting format, isn't it? Normally the old style was 4 finishers needed to be together, but now it's that allowing one rider from the team to really get everything out. As we can see, 500 meters to go, and it is all Molenaar who's going to go all the way to the line and set the time for the team.
On the climb up to the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona. Hey, as Brian mentioned earlier, it was interesting, wasn't it, to see the Picnic Post NL squad decide to reassemble and come back for Warren Barguil. Maybe just strength in numbers, looking after each other with 3 weeks in prospect.
Yeah, it's a bit of a question, isn't it? Brian, are they riding for general classification maybe with Barguil? Maybe even a top 20 or a top 10 even?
I think by looking at it, if we're looking at the rules, we're just going to bring in Caja Rural at the moment because Molenaar has been the chosen rider to try and go here. We've got different competitions, remember, so although we are talking about the general classification and trying to get your rider first across the line, and Caja Rural, first time back from many years, 1989, they finished now with a time of 22 minutes and 59 seconds. 51 kilometres an hour there. But you've got to remember there's other individual competitions, and it does look as if Picnic Post NL went for T1 with the green jersey points.
'26-year-old Alex Molenaar of the Caja Rural Seguros squad is the first rider to record a time at the finish of this Stage 1 time trial. That's the target for everyone else as the Pinarello Q36.5 Pro Cycling team gets set to take their bow. Tom Pidcock among their number. Big question marks really around Tom Pidcock, his prospects, and one wonders what he can achieve. I mean, genuinely, could we see him as a GC contender?
Yeah, I'm expecting Tom to really just go out and prove a point. I think actually he's keen to show what he can do over 3 weeks. But I think the big thing for Tom has been a few years recently where they've been quite tough Tour de France's. I think it's key for him to get to the finish, get to Paris, and if you think of a stage that's now made for him, a long way away, stage 21, but it could be a good target for Pidcock there.
Yeah, he's got 2 bites at the old Alpe d'Huez cherry, hasn't he? It's a remarkable thing. They're doing the Alpe d'Huez from 2 different sides, 2 days in a row. And stage 21, as you mentioned, is of course the final stage, and that's got in and around Montmartre with those climbs, those little short ramps, really technical cobbles, everything that a rider of the calibre of Tom Pidcock might like. It's an amazing conclusion to Tour de France. The final 3 stages, epic. Certainly the 19th and 20th, and then the final stage could potentially also have some GC prospects. This one is an important stage for the GC riders. Tom Pidcock, not difficult to pick out with that Red Bull liveried helmet. And among the riders to support him, Xavier Mikel Azparen from the host nation, Chris Harper, Frank Clamerkinton, Hermans, Demian Housen, Xandro Morisa, Brent Van Moor, and Fred Wright, the national champion, national road race champion of Britain, also among the Pinarello lineup.
Well, I think after this team time trial, all the riders will be looking for aspirin for the effort that they're actually going to do. But yeah, just to echo the Tom Pidcock, he's not had the ideal prep. Coming in, he got sick, he never rode the Tour de Suisse. He didn't really enjoy his last, although he's had some success in the past, he didn't really enjoy the Tour de France in the past. But he's back here with a new team, new ambitions. He really enjoyed the Vuelta last year, really rode well in the general classification. So let's see what he can do. But just to confirm what I said just before, the green jersey points are at T1, that's at time check 1. So the fastest through that T1 will get the green jersey. So the intermediate 1, that's why Picnic Post NL kind of broke down a little bit, because they were really firing in all cylinders for that. They still leads at T1, just over 2 seconds in front of Total Energies, Groupama, and at 6 seconds, 7 seconds Caja Rural and Tudor were at 15 seconds. So this is why some of the teams have decided to go for that particular T1 point.
Yeah, good call that one. Yes, absolutely. First through the intermediate sprint, the first intermediate timing point, just over 5 kilometres. The first rider at that point will get the green jersey. Tomorrow's a trip to the podium this evening and recognisable in the first road race stage. And of course, the fastest recorded time on the final climb. That particular rider will be awarded the polka dot jersey, the climber's jersey. Something to wear at any rate. We've just got a sight of Arnaud Delis looking really nervous. He's been sick. It's most remarkable bad luck really for Arnaud Delis. Got sick just ahead of the Giro d'Italia, forced to pull out within a couple of days. And Arnaud Delis, we heard that he actually abandoned or at least stopped early his recce of this team time trial earlier on today. He's sick and he's going to hope to try and recover over the first couple of days. Tough break really.
What's it about Grand Tours and Arnaud Delis?
Oh, it's unfortunate.
He was sick at the Giro d'Italia and now sick here. I know that you want to get the good preparation, come on, but that's twice in a year.
Yeah, the one in the Giro, of course, there were a load of riders on his team and other riders from other teams as well that got that whatever they were kicking up off the road in that race in Belgium just a few days ahead of it. This one is he's got this one all on his own. Yeah, it's really bad luck for Arnaud Delis. And lots of riders are going to ride solo to the finish line today. That's the way they're going to play it. Team Picnic Post NL sending their first rider to the line, but they're not going to upset the current situation of Alex Molinar having the fastest time.
Yeah, this looks like Frank Brandenburg now coming up to the line, and it's like we say, unless you're part of the team, you do not know what the tactics are going to be. Going at this team time trial, you would expect most teams looking at the best time, getting the rider across the line. And you can see here, they really went deep in the first checkpoint. They are still fastest, but look here, they're finishing 42 seconds behind Caja Rural when they led at T1. So that was very important for them. They have got Pavel Bittner, their sprinter. Somebody's enjoying themselves. It's not normal for a team time trial like that.
You're not supposed to enjoy the moment.
But yeah, they're just enjoying the moment. So we come into this team time trial thinking, right, it's going to be a kind of GC battle, team time trial, first across the line. Who's it going to be? Net Company, I would think on paper have got the biggest engines, but Tadej Pogačar, I think, is very capable. This team here, Picnic Post NL Racing, they waited for Warren Barguil here. John Degenkolb was there. They kind of stayed together, but they're not really here for the hunt of GC. They're looking for the man in third place there, Pavel Bittner. He has been fastest through the first checkpoint, so that's green jersey points potentially on the road for him. And he is here to try and maybe look at the green jersey competition. So, although we're talking about the yellow jersey, which everybody wants, the first stage team time trial, there are other individual competitions. Like you say, the King of the Mountains, that'll be timed in the final climb up to the finish. But very importantly for the green jersey, picnic poster now. This team, although they're 42 seconds down, second team to finish, they're still in prime place for that green jersey.
Solid and done. Kofidis into action now. Plenty of attention on Jon Izagirre. I'll jump the gun. We get false start penalty. Although you very rarely see those. Jon Izagirre, one of those 4 riders who made his debut in the Tour de France back in 2013. 2-time stage winner. Also a team that includes the likes of Milan Fretin, Pete Alligart, Alex Alamburu, another Spaniard in their lineup. Alex Kirsch, plenty of attention on him, of course, as the national time trial champion of Luxembourg. The kind of rider who's a decent engine. Hugo Page, Benjamin Thomas as well. Jente Biermans. That's Kofidis. Total Energy. Solo at the front, and this is the way that it's going to be, I think, for most of the teams. Is it going to be just one rider, or will we see some of the better organised or more motivated teams? No surprise really that Jordan Jagat is going to try and get everything out of himself. I suspect he really wants to stay in the GC hunt, John.
Yeah, I'd assume so, and I think this is the pattern we'll see. One rider, or maybe even 2 for some of the teams, going all the way to the finish line. But the way this is set up, you set up your GC rider, or your best hope, your best climber, and you deliver him into that final climb and let him launch and go all the way.
The fact that there are 2 climbs, how does that change your planning?
Yeah, that changes a little bit. You obviously use, when we get into those later teams, you can see those domestiques that will go in front of the likes of Vingegaard, likes of Sepp Kuss or Piganzoli, be able to lead Vingegaard into that final climb. But before that, we've got almost around 15 kilometres on the flat. So that's where you use those big engines, that big team time trial setup, and try and bring some real speed into it.
Yeah, Jens Vogt telling us that there were speeds in excess of 70 kilometres an hour. That's what he was seeing on the dash on the motorcycle. Huge gears required, and then you go up the top of the block, and so there's a huge range of ratios required. So technically, it's challenges, I would suspect, for the mechanics and the engineering side.
Yeah, it sure is. But that's some of the teams on SRAM now, and of course Shimano. There's enough sprockets and chain length for all these riders.
So Jordan Jagat, 10th overall 12 months ago, bubbling under, and a rider of some potential. Let's see if he can get his bid for a second successive. Well, so much attention, of course, on Paul Sexas, but there are other French riders who will certainly give the host nation and plenty of others a bit of entertainment. He goes fastest, 22:49 is the new target. Jordan Jagat has set the fastest time at the finish line for the Total Energy squad. Well, Groupama FDJ look as if they're falling apart a bit, but that's okay. We're a little bit further into the time trial. Meanwhile, Pinarello Q36.5 are 3.5 minutes to get to the line. How many riders have they got, though, involved to be decided at this point? Let's get a look at the Groupama squad. Still 5 riders together, looking like smooth sailing for them at the moment. And how do the riders sense when to pull out of the line or when to pull off the front, how long a turn to do? Is that prescripted? How much of that is just sensed as when you're out there? We were listening to Koen de Kort from the Lidl Track squad, and he was saying that you kind of have to leave the riders have a little bit of freedom because things change out of the road. Yeah, this is an interesting one because you can see at the back here, Romain Gregoire, who just won in Fanatic style the French Road Race Championships. He clearly is the man that they're looking for, and I think he will zip up this final climb. Such a punchy rider. So this is an interesting one for me, because normally you would get your key rider to ride through, and that's not the case here. It does look as if this is like a Rhodes Olympic sprint where they've got the team in front, and Romain Gregoire is sitting on the back, gets the final climb, and bang, off he goes. That's a tactic that Groupama are riding. So
different
Just hearing
teams.
actually that there was a crash for a couple of their riders, Clement Berthe and Guillaume Martin, off their bikes, so that was definitely not in the script, was it?
No, and you need to get those riders, but it's clear that different teams have got different plans, different strategy. This is what makes this so interesting, this team time trial.
Huub Aerts, recognisable as the national time trial champion of the Netherlands. Naturally enough, leading the Lotto Intermarché squad into action, and all eyes really on Arnaud Delis. How much attention will be on supporting Delis? How much resource indeed will be on supporting Delis in this stage, and indeed on the stages to come? And of course they need to keep an eye on trying to support the likes of Lennart van Eetvelt and others for GC.
Well, I think looking into this, I think possibly one of the most underrated riders coming into this year's Tour de France is Lennart van Eetvelt. You know, let's see what he can do. He's under the radar, and I think, you know, he can impose himself very much on this year's race. Plenty of opportunities, plenty of kind of punchy stages for him. But I think that this team of Intermarché, although we're seeing Tom Pidcock's team at the moment, Pinarello, I think you have to make sure that you get riders looking after Delis. But the interest for me, we've seen teams going out for T1 for the green jersey points. Picnic Post NL still leading that competition. There are teams that are allowing their principal rider to sit at the back and, you know, just ride up the last climb as fast as they can. But other teams, everybody will be riding, and everybody's got a key. You have to get to this kilometre or this checkpoint, and then that's your time done. But to answer your question there, it's all in the field. They ride at a certain speed, so they've already reconned it. They'll know what speed they have to ride at, and it's about staying at that speed. And then it determines whether how long you can stay at that speed determines how many times you swing off.
All 8 riders still together for Tom Pidcock's Pinarello Q36.5 squad. And he's getting an armchair ride into these final climbs. Tom Pidcock is keeping his powder as dry as he possibly can. Scorching hot temperatures here in Barcelona for stage 1 of Tour de France.
Same tactic, Declan. Did you notice that there? So the different teams have different tactics here, and it's clear that Groupama are deciding to look after Romain Grégoire, and now Pinarello are looking after Tom Pidcock. He's just sitting at the back. I don't think we'll see the other teams like Visma and UAE do that. I think Pogacar and Vingegaard will ride, but it's very interesting to see how these teams do.
Now, which of the riders for the Tudor Pro Cycling team has been favoured to produce a climbing performance? Is this look like her shoe has to be stored, doesn't it? You would imagine, or is it Boissard?
No, it's not stored up.
Boissard, maybe. Who's a fine climber in his own right. Riding the line, not quite going to get there in time. Missing out by just over 12 seconds. Julian Alaphilippe doing the job to try and propel his teammates to the top spot.
I posa les coses bastant apretades, bastant estretes, i queda encara, evidentment, molta cursa per veure quin és el dels enllaços. 23:01. A meitat del recorregut continua sent...
Barcelona certainly got its posh gear on today. The Glories Tower, as they call it, constructed in 1999, opened in 2005. 132 million, if you want to describe this particular piece of architecture in something as grubby as filthy lucre, as it were. Now, down to the closing moments for the Groupama squad. It's Berthe trying to propel Afonso Braz into prime position. Well, it's Grégoire indeed at the front. Apologies, Romain Grégoire at the front, and Afonso Braz hanging on like grim death for as long as he possibly can. And as you mentioned, Romain Grégoire is in great form. He's a mercurial talent, isn't he? He can. I don't think we know exactly fully what he can achieve.
No, he is in good form. The way he won the French Championships was amazing. So, you know, he's in his pomp at the moment. He sat on the back of his team, and that's their tactics. It's been clear. Some of the other teams have got the same tactics, but let's see what others have.
Huge excitement for the arrival of the Movistar squad into action. Pablo Castrillo, Raul Garcia, Javier Romo getting most of the attention, as you might expect. Their likely team leader, though, Kian Uijtdebroeks, 23-year-old Belgian. Jefferson Cepeda will have work to do. Nelson Oliveira, Michael Hessman, Rainer Rubio as well. A great option to support Kian Uijtdebroeks and maybe himself go for a victory in a mountain stage or two. Alex Aramburu becomes detached from the Cofidis lineup.
It looks like he's got a puncture there or an issue. Just jumped that back wheel.
That wasn't the time it was supposed to happen.
No, he had a little bit of a shake of the head, wasn't there? And then just caught him hopping that back wheel. Disappointed for Aramburu, someone who would have suited this finish as well.
But Grégoire's racing solo now. He's detached himself from Afonso Braz. That's a solo ride to the conclusion. I suppose the teams that can retain helpers all the way to the final ramp are going to have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, it's still going to be a numbers game. You want to have as many as your teammates there for as long as possible. As long as, again, like Brian said earlier, it's all about speed. So if the team can hold the speed with more numbers, then that, of course, means you save energy, you go faster. But it's all about, team time trialing, team pursuiting. It's all about holding speed, never decreasing it. So you almost want to deliver your teammates at a higher speed or just with a little acceleration at the end of each turn. And that holds that effort. A really, really hard thing to get right, especially for teams who don't spend too much time working on team time trials.
Still just 23 years of age is Romain Grégoire. I wonder how much time that the Groupama FDJ squad, not traditionally a squad that are known for their team or indeed individual time trialing, but they have generational talent in Romain Grégoire. Can he deliver a result that will keep him in the GC fight, potentially deliver an opportunity for a yellow jersey in the opening days? Half a minute to get to the line, plenty of time. New fastest time for Romain Grégoire and Groupama FDJ United.
Yeah, we're watching how hard that final climb is. The final 800 meters at just under 7% average. But still, averaging over these early teams, over 52 kilometers an hour, which is, we sure are moving fast, aren't we?
Well, Total Energy squad were in the hot seat for a while. They sign off with a salute. This is where we started our presentation of the teams a couple of days ago. The remarkable Recinte Modernista de Sant Pau was a hospital up until very recently. And it was the modernist vision of the other famous Barcelona architect, Muntaner. Plenty of examples of Antoni Gaudi architecture, of course, in Barcelona, but that is the most remarkable thing that Modernista, Recinte Modernista. Now still together. In large part, down to 4, but they're not that far from the finish line with 3.2, and they're on the penultimate climb here.
Yeah, this is where they really start ramping things up, trying to deliver Tom Pidcock. So, like we talked about earlier, is he going for a full attempt for the fastest on that final climb of the day? And if it is that final climb, that final 800 meters to the finish, and that the fastest rider at that point then wears the polka dot jersey on the podium at the end of the day and for tomorrow's stage.
Tobias Hallen Johansson making his final preparations. As a little bit late to the party, but just about there. They've put the whole band together again, the NSN cycling team. Now, will they be interested in trying to set something up for Biniam Girmay to take the first green jersey of the week, or indeed of the 3 weeks, or will it be all about trying to keep the likes of George Bennett in fine fettle all the way to the finale for the NSN cycling team? Lewis Askey also part of their lineup, Marco Frigo, Mathis Louvel, Chris Nylands, Britain's Jake Stewart and Tom van Asbroek, the Belgian, making up the NSN octet.
Very balanced team, actually, NSN. Could be looking after stage victories throughout this Tour de France. Of course, with Biniam Girmay looking at those sprint stages, but then even in the breakaway, likes of Marco Frigo, George Bennett, even in those tougher stages in the second and third week.
Yeah, New Zealand road race champion George Bennett is one to watch out for them. He's a veteran rider at this point, but he is a rider who has so much experience and so much ability. And indeed, it's a very experienced lineup. Only one of their riders is making his debut in this race, and that's Marco Frigo, who's certainly a very experienced rider in his own right, albeit not in Tour de France terms. Of course, the Tour de France, I mean, it's something they always talk about, isn't it? It's just a different scale of pressure and attention and importance. Well, they're coming home in dribs and drabs, and there you get the evidence of the difficulties encountered by Berthet and Guillaume Martin hitting the deck. And far from the ideal start, and they'll be nursing those injuries and trying to recover while they're racing in the days to come.
Yeah, it's a tough start to a 3-week Grand Tour falling off there. You can see how fast they were going. We didn't get to see a clip of the crash, did we? But you can see off the amount of cuts and skin already taken off that top of his shoulder and his hip. It must have been a fast one.
Nice overhead of the very much planned and structured city that is Barcelona. So we now see Tom Pidcock alone against the hill. All of his teammates have set him up nicely for this one. All looked cool, calm and collected. You only really know the stopwatch is the final arbiter. And 40 seconds to go and still 500 metres. Doesn't look like Tom Pidcock's going to be donning the first yellow jersey of this race.
No, a little bit down on the time of Groupama FDG, but they were quite far down on the intermediate time checks all the way through. But maybe it is, like we said, Pidcock going for that polka dot jersey, fastest time on the final climb of the day.
Tom Pidcock to the line. I think the clock is just going to defeat him here. He's not going to unseat Romain Gregoire from that first yellow jersey position. Nonetheless, he's not going to be that far away. And Tom Pidcock has thrown his hat in the ring here. He's in the hunt for honours. And after, as Brian has mentioned, not less than ideal preparation, failing to start the final preparation race, Tour de Suisse, Tom Pidcock is into action and will hope to hone his form as the race develops. Still Romain Gregoire with the fastest time at the finish line. Clement Berthet looking a bit scuffed and bloodied, but unbowed, I suspect. It's frustrating, isn't it? And it's so easily done, isn't it? On those time trial bikes, when you're in the on the ski extensions and you're in the tuck with those time trial helmets and the visors and everything about it just is a little bit different to road racing.
Yeah, and you take every risk you can. If you can go around a corner faster, you come out of the corner faster. So yeah, everything. Riders are on the limit, and so is the equipment. The tyres are, you push them to every centimetre, and you use all the road at every point as well. So yeah, it's always a worry.
Time to get the ice pops in. What flavour that one is.
Yeah, doesn't look like a Solero, does it?
What's the marginal gain there? Yeah, it's a raspberry flavour.
Raspberry flavour, or is it just ice?
Yeah. Mathieu van der Poel, of course, went within 0.04 of a second of beating Tadej Pogacar in an individual time trial at Tour de Suisse. He's clearly in fine fettle. Movistar squad getting an extra special cheer from the crowd here in Barcelona. They head into their effort. Well, they're about halfway through at this point. And as you can tell from the time, they're around about 1 kilometre a minute, if not faster at this point. 60 kilometres an hour plus around these winding, twisting streets ahead of the ramps to come that will pull the average speed down to a still hugely impressive 53, 54 kilometres an hour. I think that's what we're looking at. And there's the Sagrada Familia. Almost finished. Anthony Gaudi's masterpiece. He spent the final 43 years, I think, of his life dedicating himself. Indeed, he was killed walking to work to the Sagrada Familia when he was run over by a tram in 1926. Tragic conclusion. And his masterpiece almost complete in the Uno X Mobility. Well, their masterpiece that might be their participation in Tour de France 2026. It's only just getting underway. Fascinating team of stage hunters and GC contenders.
Yeah, a little bit of an underdog team, aren't they? Even in the team time trial, it's a real strong team. Like you go through that list. Who do they want to set up for that final climb? Of course, Tobias Johannesson, probably one of their favourite. But then you look at the firepower they've got. Jonas Abrahamsson, Søren Warrenskold. It's a big team.
Movistar squad have just under 4 minutes to get to the line if they're to take the top time in this team time trial that gets Tour de France 2026 underway. And they've got almost their complete lineup together. It will be pared down significantly, and we'll watch with interest to see how number 141, who's in the line, riding up at the moment, Kian Uijtdebroeks, the Belgian rider, likely to be protected and to try and be their lead rider at the end. Set a time that will keep him in the GC hunt.
Movistar, a team that really spent a lot of money on team time trialing. Obviously in build-up they knew the Barcelona Grand Depart was coming, but they spent a lot of work on the individual time trial, team time trialing, a lot of investment, and you can see what they do. So the final rider there, number 146, that was Nelson Oliveira. He just goes onto the outside of his bars to help that rider who's finished their turn get into the slipstream and get back on. So you just see Guillemai do the same. He just sits on the outside of his tribus, third from the back. That just allows the rider who's been on the front have a bit more shelter, a little bit more recovery, and then they get in to go again. It's the same pattern again. Try and watch out for it for the other teams.
Jonas Aguirre is riding solo. Is he at the head of the Cofidis lineup or a little bit further back? I think he could well be at the head of it. And Jonas Aguirre, fine time trialist on his day, 6th fastest, setting the time for the Cofidis squad. Man who's taken stage glory on 2 occasions in the Tour de France, the now 37-year-old veteran. Grizzled veteran of many a Tour de France at this point. Rainer Rubio has done enough at this point, and he won't mind leaking a bit of time. He'll see it as an opportunity, perhaps, to go stage hunting in the mountains in the days to come. Save a little bit of energy. Support Uijtdebroeks. Well, Geraint Thomas is a rider who would probably have enjoyed this particular discipline. He certainly would have enjoyed planning for it, and now he's part of the backroom staff for the Netcompany Ineos squad. For many of the favourite squads, as we see, foot pulled out for Javier Romo. Let's hear from...
The Netcompany Ineos are the big favourite for the stage victory to take the first yellow jersey. Talk me through the difference of this kind of team time trial and what you've found has worked. How can you use the resources of the riders to the best of your ability?
I think, you know, we've just got a strong squad, really. Obviously for the TTT and then potentially the rest of the race and on all terrain, really. But I think we have had, you know, a run of decent results. And I think, you know, just say to the guys, you know, we're favourites for a reason. Like, let's embrace it, you know. Don't see that as any pressure or expectation. It's just, you know, it's a compliment. And I think, yeah, when you think back to when they were kids and they were like dreaming of being in the Tour, and now they're at the start of the Tour in a team that's seen as the favourite to win the stage, it's pretty special, you know. And then just stick to the process, and they all know what to do. And I think as soon as is it Tyson that said once you get hit in the face, the plan goes out the window, and it's kind of the same with this. You know, we got our best plan, but it won't go according to plan. But I think it's how they adapt and stick to the principles of what we spoke about throughout the year, and I think they'll get the best time possible, and what will be then.
What's the strategy, and how do you use the engine room to the best of their ability, ultimately, to try and win the stage? What's the strategy?
I think it's we've got some big engines in the team, obviously, with Pipo and Josh. You know, Josh obviously, you know, was on the floor with a broken collarbone 3 weeks ago. It's just incredible what he's done to get back to this, and the rest of the boys as well. We got some good guys for the flat, and then, you know, the 2 kickers at the end. So it's yeah, it's just trying to get the best out of everyone. You know.
How do you do that then?
Well, you know, you can break it apart and look at it and talk about it for hours and hours, or you just, you know, you come up with your basic plan. Is you keep it simple at the end of the day. But I think it's using them on the flat. You know, it's all about the speed. Everyone knows that. You know, momentum and not slowing down, not going too long and slowing it down or kicking through, and you know, all the basics. And you stick with that and trying. As long as everybody's empty by the end, which is always tough when there's 8 guys, and you know, back in the team pursuit days as well. So it's very technical, but also it can be very simple as well.
Best of luck today. Thanks, Stu.
Former Olympic team pursuit champion Geraint Thomas giving his tuppence worth. First Welshman to win the Tour de France, and Geraint Thomas now, as I mentioned, an important part of the backroom staff for the Netcompany Ineos squad. The red-hot favourites for this. Is their favouritism justified? I suppose we'll find out in a little while, but really it does seem as if everyone believes that with sort of so many time trial superstars in their team, including Josh Tarling, that they can prevail today.
Yeah, I would say so. They're still out-and-out favourites for today. The team is really built perfectly with the likes of Tarling, Ghana, even Tobias Voss, Norwegian, former Norwegian time trial champ as well. Then you look at Godon, Kwiatkowski. You go through that team. I think the good takeaway from that interview with Geraint Thomas, someone there who really is an expert in team pursuit, team time trialing, and the main point that he got across was keep it simple. Let's try not to complicate everything. I think you can go into so much detail as a staff member and you plan everything to the T, but it's almost just being calm, allowing the riders that trust to go out and deliver, and that's exactly what G wants them to do.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned the basics. That was maintaining the speed and don't necessarily do too long a turn, just in case it drops away.
Yeah, so most of the time in a team time trial, the strongest rider will do the longest turn, but just because it's the longest turn, it needs to be at the same speed as the weakest rider or the target speed. If the strongest rider starts kicking through, all that does is exactly what's happening, what you see on the screen now with Movistar. Then things explode.
An eightful to the line for the Lotto Intermarché squad. It looked as if Cian Uijtdebroeks was struggling there a little bit, by the way. Just under a minute down on Romain Gregor's time for the Groupama FDJ squad. So that's certainly not anything super special at the moment for the Lotto Intermarché squad, but their Tour de France is underway. For the Movistar squad, it's going to be interesting to see how indeed which rider they project through to the conclusion of this test. There's Uijtdebroeks, as I said, he's looking a little bit all over the place at the moment. And, you know, as Brian has said, it's an absolutely cruel way to start the Tour de France in many ways. It might be a relatively short stage, and I'm not sure they know what to do here, because their GC favourite is dropped, and they're saying, well, Garcia's saying, look, we continue to ride here. Castrillo has done what he needed to do, and Cepeda is still there and available. But I think while One rider, Garcia, has decided that he's going to keep pressing on. The others are minded to wait for Kian Uijtenbrooks here.
Yeah, they have to. If they're going, if Uijtenbrooks is the team leader for the whole of this Tour de France, then the team have to wait. It was 2.7 kilometers to go at this point. Yeah, it seems
this
like
is the first of the two hills. Yes, this is
the first one. Yeah. And they go downhill, then they go into under a K to go, then it kicks up at 800 meters to go. So now really in a bit of communication problems.
Well, has that ever happened in the history of cycling, that Movistar struggle a little bit to figure out exactly what the plan is and who the plan is for? Plenty. Well, they've got 3 weeks to fix that one. And the Alpecin Premier Tech squad, 13th of our 23 teams into action, included among their number. Great Mathieu van der Poel and, of course, Jasper Philipsen as well. Between them, they've taken 13 stage victories in Tour de France. Also, a part of their lineup, Ramses de Bruyne, Sylvain Dillier. Great Swiss engine for them. Tim Marsman, Edward Plankert, Jonas Rickart. How important is he going to be through the 3 weeks? Emil Verstringen as well. One suspects, though, that their main focus is likely to be on the stages to come, particularly tomorrow. Mathieu van der Poel at the team's presentation a couple of days ago was saying he wasn't ruling out a bid for glory as early as stage 2. Now, Castrillo has gone back to, he's the Spanish time trial champion, that's why he's got a different jersey. And he's gone back to support the interests of Kian Uijtenbrooks, who looks like he's having a tough old start. And it can be like that. Lizana Dali is also having a tough old start. He's been nursing illness, but he's through to the finish. He's got 1 day under his belt. And he'll go straight to bed, I suspect, with plenty of fluids, a hot cocoa, and try and recover and go again tomorrow.
Looks like they made the right decision, though, and they've come together with Movistar and Uijtenbrooks. They're just trying to, they need to keep him together. And Castrillo, and it is Cepeda, the rider, Jefferson Cepeda on the back, just behind Uijtenbrooks. Yeah, all about getting Uijtenbrooks to the line. He's their leader. He's the most important rider for the next 3 weeks. So, yeah, not ideal.
Yeah. Apologies, John. Yeah, no, just a reminder if you're just joining us, of course, each and every one of these riders gets the time at the finish line, and the best time of the team is, of course, the time of the first rider across the line. So it's a slightly different format. It's kind of an individual time trial with the assistance of your teammates, isn't it? It's
it's
a different approach.
Yeah, everyone gets that their time on GC. But you can see Uijtenbrooks really struggling, isn't he? Even to hold the wheel now. And you can tell when the energy levels go, you haven't got the legs, you start pedaling with your shoulders, and that's exactly what Uijtenbrooks is doing, using his whole body just to push these pedals around.
And particularly on a climb, it's very, very difficult to judge the pace of the rider who's suffering and struggling. There's almost a benefit, I think, to putting the suffering rider on the front. But, of course, these riders, they go so much faster than you might imagine up this 700-metre ramp up 7%. And it's Garcia, Raul Garcia, is going to record the best time of the Movistar squad, albeit just over half a minute down on Romain Gregoire's representative. 22 minutes and 28.82 seconds. Still almost 51 kilometers an hour despite all of their difficulties. And the clock will continue to tick for Kian Uijtenbrooks and friends. And they'll be grateful to Castrillo. He will indeed, and indeed all the team will be. Uijtenbrooks. His purgatory almost at an end. He'll reset and go again, but what does that do to the motivation and the morale of himself and indeed the rest of the team as well? They'll be nervous about the difficulties to come. Stage 3 is a really, really tricky start, and an absolute beast of a stage coming up as early as stage 6. Meanwhile, Uno X Mobility need to try and keep Tobias Halland Johannesson 6th overall 12 months ago. Cool, calm and collected. Number 121, second from the back here. Last rider in the line. his brother, Anders Halland Johansson.
Yeah, all about keeping core body temperature as cool as possible. So this is what they're doing: ice baths, but it's just that keeping your arms and the pulse. Basically, if you keep your wrists nice and really cold, that then sends cold blood in effect around the rest of the body and keeps the core body temperature down.
So the marginal gains was a whole load of plastic tubs in the last couple of days. Yeah, plastic tubs for the win.
Get yourself to IKEA, get those plastic tubs.
Now Soudal Quick-Step are off the ramp and into Tour de France 2026. Tim Merlier, of course, former green jersey holder and winner indeed, and 3 times a stage winner of this event. Indeed, not the only stage winner, of course, in their lineup. Valentin Paris-Pontre took a stunning and memorable victory on Mont Ventoux in Tour de France 2025. And everything we've heard is they're trying to keep him on a tight rein. He's that enthusiastic, wants to race every day, wants to just jump up the road at every possible occasion. He's hugely enthusiastic, he's in fighting form. And so the Soudal Quick-Step squad, multiple reasons to give a brilliant account of themselves. It will be interesting to see whether they go for that really, really quick first 5 kilometres to see can they secure a green jersey, an early green jersey for Tim Merlier, or whether they'd see any great value in it. There are about 5 opportunities for the sprinters in Tour de France 2026. By recent standards, that's about normal, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of skewed to be very, very tough and challenging tours in recent years. And while it's a relatively low total at 321.2 kilometres to be precise, according to the road book at any rate. I've seen Bellevue with a few kilometres less than that. At any rate, it's the second shortest Tour de France since 1990, but it is, though, a very, very grippy and challenging one with lots and lots of climbing meters.
Yeah, it's the one thing for the sprinters, they've got a bit of a wait until they get that real opportunity, that real sprint stage where they can get stuck into. So a few tough days coming up for the sprinters, especially. Yeah,
not all of them just waiting for it, but just actually trying to survive the first few days. Yeah.
You talked about Dali. He came here to try, of course, pick up a stage victory, but you come in ill and you go through these first 3-4 stages, you're really on the back foot already.
Johannesson brothers at the back of the Uno X Mobility lineup, still got 5 of their riders into the closing stages. Manny Martinez. Will we see a bid for polka dots? And you go for GC. Didn't look too strong indeed at the recent Tour de Suisse. The Bahrain Victorious team maybe coming in off a camp and not quite as maybe a little bit more fatigued than others, but certainly they weren't quite covering themselves with glory. But this is the one that really matters. Meanwhile, Uno X Mobility with the big engine that is Johannes Abrahamsen driving on the front to try and provide a launching pad, an opportunity for his teammate Tobias Halland Johannesson. Leading NSN rider falls over the line. That was a painful one for Bennett and friends. And that's I think Geraint Thomas summed it up. You don't want anyone bringing any energy home, and George Bennett certainly gave an illustration of that. There was nothing in the tank, and that's the way you want to end a time trial, where you've run out of energy about 5 meters before the finish.
Yeah, the fuel tank stopped as he crossed the finish line, so yeah, perfectly paced for Bennett. He was the only one that needed to get there, and he got the most out of himself.
Kept it upright. 6th fastest time at the finish line for the NSN squad. Seen over the Mediterranean in Barcelona today is Ben O'Connor. That's a bit of a surprise, actually. Ben O'Connor detached from Team Jayco Alula early on. Is this something that's going to prevail? Well, the team car is flashing ahead, and maybe Ben O'Connor is not even thinking about GC. He's thinking about the hunt for stage honours during this event. No sign of the team even thinking about going back from at this stage. And that a little bit of a surprise there from Team Jayco?
A little bit, but we get the answer, I think, of the tactics for this Tour de France. If the team car goes past, no one waits. Then we know O'Connor's chasing those stages.
Now, huge attention on this team. Netcompany Ineos about to go into battle, and many people's favourites. So we'll look at the amount of different national champions jerseys that are in this team. Filippo Ganna, of course, the Italian national time trial champion. Tobias Foss is the national champion against the watch of Norway. Michał Kwiatkowski, Polish national time trial champion, of course, former world road race champion. Josh Tarling doesn't have a jersey to wear, but he's, of course, a former European champion and one of the best time trialists in the world. He and Filippo Ganna would probably arm wrestle each other for that title in that particular team. What an amazingly talented team it is, Netcompany Ineos. You can also add in the likes of Egan Bernal, former winner of this race. Timo Ahrensman, couple of stage wins last year and just outside the top 10. Kevin Voekelän, though, likely to be their favoured son to try and propel him up the final hill and into a general classification opportunity. Kevin Voekelän across to Netcompany Ineos this year on the back of his 7th place finish in Tour de France 2025. Jens Vogt is out on the motorcycle, just soaking up the atmosphere, soaking up the rays. What are his thoughts? What does Jens Vogt think of the time trial so far?
I just happened to be behind Alpecin Premier Tech. They looked so smooth, so good. They kept it all in line. They kept it really close to each other, the riders. They had a fast start, looking really good. But after I realized that Team Ineos Grenadiers, they have 3 powerhouses within the team. That's what you need. It's a lot of flat part, more than it looks like on a profile. So with Ganna, Joshua Tarling and Foss in the team, clearly Ineos has a huge advantage. I think I go for them. And a bit of inside information. I talked to Fabrizio Guidi from Team UAE. He told me, I am so glad we start last because they expect 4 to 5 kilometers an hour less wind in the evening, and already now I feel it's a lot cooler than before. So they will have cooler, better temperatures, less wind, clear advantage for the team starting last. And I'm just waiting for the big power train of Ineos coming from behind now. Back to you, commentators.
Cheers, Jens. Yeah, keep an eye out. Look over your shoulder because they're coming at a fair old rate. It's a good point, isn't it? I mean, you want just a whole load of time trial engines just to get you to those final couple of ramps and see what the legs are like. I mean, that's the balance of the team, is weighted towards time trial stars.
Yeah, and a balance of being able to do this, the technique that goes with it, sharing the speed, sharing the turns. That's exactly what Ineos, the Netcompany Ineos, have in spades.
This is Tobias Holland Johannesson through to the line. He's not quite going to record the fastest time here. The UnoX Mobility squad goes third. Still, Groupama FDJ have that benchmark time. Looking good, but still waiting the final 2 teams into action. Indeed, final 3 teams make that final 4. You've got Lidl Trek, Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe, Team Visma, Lisa Bike, and UAE Team Emirates XRG, all with genuine podium contenders for Tour de France 2026. The last 4 teams into action. Kwiatkowski still at the back here as we pick up the Netcompany Ineos squad. That's probably a coincidence. Let's see how they're managing to protect Voekelän. Will there be a situation where they want to put a rider on the very back, maybe to protect Voekelän even more? Tough old day so far for Kian Uiterbrooks, though. Well, the Movistar rider really struggling to stay attached.
Jusqu'au bout de ce que vous pouviez faire.
Ouais, you went all the way. Yes, I had some cramps before the first climb. It wasn't easy to let go.
J'ai fait ce que je pouvais, mais
I did what I can, but had some cramps before the climb. Was it hard because of the heat, the route, or the start of the race? I think it's because of the heat. Also because maybe it's the first day fully in the body, and the body wasn't warmed up and ready for it. Once you have cramps, it's hard. What were the teammates saying? Were they supporting you? Yeah, they tried to push me over my limits, and I gave everything. So this is just the first day, and there are still 3 weeks to come. A tougher one for Cian Uijtdebroeks. I mean, how do you suffer from cramp? I mean, it's just that the body's not ready or expecting this level of effort.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. Some days, unfortunately, humans just have bad days and you can't do anything about it. But it's a shame for Uijtdebroeks. There would have been a lot of pressure on those shoulders as well.
All going pretty well at the moment at the halfway point for the Soudal Quick-Step squad. Cool, calm and collected as Louis Vavaca drops away and drops down towards the back, protecting Valentin Paré-Pontre, the diminutive climber. He really is a very slight figure on a bike, so he won't be generating the same sort of power. When the road rises, though, he'll come into his own. He has the space and time. I mean, that's just so valuable, isn't it, for those riders to be able to sit on. I mean, in a regular sort of, if this was a flat team time trial where you required sort of, it was the time of the 4th or 5th rider across the line, it might be that those riders would be required to ride up and over and maintain a position in the rotation. Very different format here. Bahrain victorious. Into action, Lenny Martinez among their number, Antonio Tiberi as well. Phil Bajas for sprinting, Damiano Caruso, former top 10 finisher in this event. And he's the oldest man in the bike race as well at 38 years of age. If he wins a stage, he's one of a number of riders actually, I think 4 or 5 riders who can complete the Grand Tour triple. Damiano Caruso with plenty of motivation. Kamil Gradek, Rob Stannard, Mohoric, Van Mechelen as well. As Team Jayco Alula, well, they were happy enough to dispense with Ben O'Connor. This is Plapp, I suspect, is it? Yes, he's a fine time trialist, is Luke Plapp. He's a great climber as well.
I think it's Michael Matthews.
Every chance he's going to get there, yeah.
It looks like Michael Matthews actually coming back.
Matthews would be perfect if it is. And yeah, it's tough to tell here with these time trial suits and different helmets on. But Michael Matthews, what a comeback that would be indeed after all that he endured on the run to this particular Tour de France. Horrible crash earlier on in the year. And great to see him in the Tour de France. Michael Matthews, 4 times a stage winner.
Yeah, it's a real big comeback from Matthews. I think we didn't realise, in those training crashes, you never really realise how big or how bad they are, and he was actually really lucky. Yeah, a really bad crash, really hit a car, broken both his arms, and a lot of other injuries. So, yeah, nice to see him back. There's some big comebacks going on, of course, in this Tour de France, and every athlete has so many stories and challenges just to make the start line, let alone try and win a stage or win the overall.
Yeah, it was a string of injuries, wasn't it? Both wrists and ribs and various other broken bones, and great to see him back in the Tour de Suisse last week. That's the Basilica of Santa Maria del Mar, constructed between 1329 and 1383. Pretty nice job they did on it too. Catalan Gothic construction. Built in record time. It only took them 54 years. Literally, it was apparently record time. A bit quicker than... and there is Michael Matthews. Oh, he went deep.
Yeah. You could just hear that breathing where you get all the way to the bottom of your lungs, and it's just you get everything out.
He's still able to do it. He's still able to go as deep as is required at 35 years of age.
Now back with Netcompany Ineos. They went through that first intermediate time check and set the fastest time so far. Average speed of 56.3 kilometers an hour, which is pretty rapid, probably above the speed limit around Barcelona.
Yes, and just 6 seconds faster than Team Picnic Post NL. Of course, kind of fell apart after that, but their entire focus was just on those first 5 kilometers, whereas the Netcompany Ineos squad want to try and put together the perfect time trial, team time trial, all the way to the finish line.
You just see Ganna took that swing off the front.
We suspect that Filippo Ganna will be doing slightly longer turns than some of the other riders in there, but it's such a high-quality lineup for the Netcompany Ineos squad. And Groupama FDJ United still with the top time, 22 minutes and 28 seconds, and Michael Matthews representing for Team Jayco Lula as he went to the line just 10 seconds slower. Paul Sixas getting set to make his debut in Tour de France at 19 years of age. It is a remarkable thing, isn't it? Well, we've had teenagers in Grand Tours before, but Tour de France is a different level of expectation and pressure, and especially if you're a French rider. Deep discussion about whether it is a good idea of a rider of his callow youth to actually be making his debut, while still not yet out of his teens. But he's a rider who seems to absorb the pressure pretty well. He just seems to be not. I mean, it really does roll off for me. He says that he's it's something that he doesn't mind and enjoys, and there's no way you can give him more pressure than he's putting on himself anyway. Is the film actually that they recorded when he explained to his grandparents that he would be riding Tour de France, that they did it by way of a reveal and a launch. It was, I think, one of the most heartwarming and enjoyable pieces of social media output in the last couple of years. Let's look at the intermediates through the second sector, and it's Netcompany Ineos that have it by 14 seconds from those teams that have gone through to this point. Only getting better and better, and they've still got the full complement together.
They've still got the whole group together. Looks like Bernal just sitting on a little. They've just let Vauquelin go 2 spaces back. Kwiatkowski went round him. So it looks like they'll be looking after Vauquelin for today. Get a little replay. That's so the way they're communicating.
That's Bernal calling for a speed drop.
It could be a few different things. So it could be, different signals. So it would have been from obviously the team car asking a question, and Bernal could be putting thumb down, he's not feeling good, or thumb up. It also could be a code. Thumb down could mean good. There's always.
Let's bring Matthew home. He's going to record the new time. That's Alpecin Premier Tech going to the top of the timesheets. Romain Gregoire and the Groupama FDJ United squad have been vanquished as Mathieu van der Poel gets to the line. Scant margin of just a smidgen under 3 seconds faster than Groupama FDJ. Solid effort.
Really, a real strong effort from Alpecin. The only time we really got to see them was when we saw Jens Vogt with them, and he was saying how smooth they were and how fast they were. And of course, then they've been able to leave Van der Poel, and he's got everything out on that final climb. Now, same as Matthews a couple of minutes ago. Time to get off the bike and try and get that oxygen back into the lungs.
Yeah, you don't get much privacy for recovery, do you? Well, Mathieu van der Poel is going to go through that familiar public process of the relief from the agony, but he is the fastest at the moment, and Alpecin Premier Tech lead this team time trial. Matt Stevens is along to join us for a little while. Looks as if could be a problem here. Is this Bernal at the back?
Vauquelin.
Of all the riders.
This is really bad. Their French rider, desperate, of course, to try and take a yellow jersey. He's had some rotten luck. We saw,
Yeah, that is an absolute. Yeah, welcome,
that is
guys.
rotten luck, isn't it, for Kevin Vauquelin, 7th overall in last year's Tour de France. He's the pre-event favourites, GC favourite for the Netcompany Ineos squad. They might potentially still record an impressive time in this time trial. What do? They continue to ride 6.4 kilometres to go. Matt Stevens is watching. What do you think, Matt?
So yeah, it's difficult for him to hold the wheel. You can see that slowly softening back tyre. And
when he'll be here in a minute. Well, I mean, it does look as if it's a puncture, but it might well be that the milk is in the tyre and it will repair itself.
Yeah, possibly. So it's definitely lost pressure. You can see already that squidginess, and maybe still rideable at this point. But a bike change, you're definitely going to lose more time. So this is one of those things that you can't plan for, and you just hope you can deal with as best as possible on the road.
Yeah, we can hear you, Matt. Go for it. Decathlon CMA CGM are off the ramp and into action. Paul Saxas begins the Tour de France at the age of 19 years of age. Brian Smith is hereabouts as well, and Matt Stevens is just getting himself ready.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Matt.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, but what an absolute nightmare. What I was going to say is he's got to watch the flattening back tyre going into those corners on a disc wheel. He nearly laid it down there. Vauquelin was their man. They've clearly stated they want to put this man in the jersey. They're going to have to reconfigure. And now, I mean, John, what on earth do they do? They need to now set it up for another rider to try and do this, because they've got such an advantage. They can still win the stage, but who do they decide on now? Would they have gone into the race with a plan B if it hadn't been Vauquelin?
Yeah, we really don't know, but you can see Vauquelin just made the signal, go ahead, that you have to carry on, and there's nothing you can do at this point.
So fascinating scenes here on the roads of the Tour de France. The opening stage here in Barcelona, a brand new format for the team time trial. One we're familiar with over the last couple of years in its experimental phase, but this is the first time it's been used for real at the Tour de France. And I tell you what, it's exciting. It's certainly going to add a little bit of spice, but unfortunately for the Netcompany Ineos Grenadiers team, Kevin Vauquelin suffered a slow puncture. Luckily, he kept his bike upright. We are looking at this squad here. The hopes of France are on the shoulders of the Decathlon CMA CGM rider, Paul Saxas. Brian, what do you think of this man's chances? He's already going through as well on the front. He's a former world champion at this discipline, or the individual TT discipline. What do you think about his chance in this race?
Well, the chances in this race, I don't think they'll be winning this team time trial. That's my opinion. If you're asking me about, what my opinion is on him, he's absolutely an exceptional talent, but I don't think we'll see him on the podium in this year's Tour de France. But what it'll do is it'll give him an opportunity to experience the Tour de France and do his best. But I don't think, and I think he'll be kind of mid-top 10, but I can't see him pushing for the podium.
Well, this is a picture of the man who's won this race in the past, of course, Egan Bernal. What a comeback he's had over the last couple of years. But this is, looks like Ilan van Wilder for Soudal Quickstep, firing up the finishing straight. The 26-year-old, they're going to be well outside of the time of Alpecin Premier Tech, their fellow Belgian team. Still going to be a pretty solid performance. They pulled back a little bit of time, just under 20 seconds, good enough for 5th place. And there's a study of concentration of Van Wilder. Very good climber, medalled, of course, in the World Road Race Championships TT last year. Actually beat Tadej Pogačar, Brian, didn't he? On a real difficult course. There we go. This is the 5th time that Barcelona has been used for the Tour. Just look at that absolutely gorgeous view of this quite magnificent city, and a wonderful way to open up the Tour de France. This race now in its 113th edition. It would be good to get back on the road and see exactly what's happening with Netcompany Ineos Grenadiers. They're coming towards the closing stages of their TT, but warming up is Remco Evenepoel. Brian, an interesting proposition for this squad. This man too, of course, Jonas Vingegaard, looking for a good ride from his team. but you'd imagine that Remco, given the lineup and given how good he is at the TT, they're going to have to use him a little bit. So this is the situation. So the decision has been made, Brian. It is Filippo Ganna and Tobias Foss. Foss has been flying recently as well. This looks like it's for Foss to try and win this TT. The Norwegian champion sat behind the the former world champion and the current Italian champion. 2.6 to go, Brian.
Yeah, it's almost a disaster for them, for Voikelin having that rear wheel puncture, but the decision has been made, and the decision has been made that they want to win this team time trial. They came in, I think I said right from the start that these guys are the favourites, and they clearly want to win this team time trial. But it's unfortunate that they haven't gone in for the general classification in Voikelin. Even Timo Ahrensman could have done a good GC. But I just think the strategy, every team has got their strategy, whether it's for T1 and the green jersey points, which currently is led by Net Company, or the King of the Mountains, or the GC guy, are trying to win the stage. There's so many different strategies from the different teams, and that for me is so intriguing.
It's really, really hard. I mean, as a team manager, as a DS, and as riders too, it's such an interesting format. There's so many different ways you can slice this one. As we look at EF Education EasyPost, they brought a very strong team to the Tour de France, as you would expect. Richard Carapaz, Kasper Asgren, Alex Baudin, Ben Healy, of course, who took a stage last year and had a stint in the Maillot Jaune. Sean Quinn, Jorg Steinhauser, Michael Volgren, another man on the comeback trail after winning a stage in the Giro d'Italia, and young Max Walker from the Isle of Man, 24 years of age, debuting at the Tour de France. This is a really punchy lineup, but there we go. 2 minutes since I've got 1K to go. Looking at the way they're riding at the moment, this does look like they're going to make it. It's just by how much, Brian, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all. I think Ganna will be the first across the line here, the Italian champion here. It's crystal clear now. They did want to try and help Voikelin, but at the end of the day, they want this stage, and it's very, very clear in that. What has surprised me a little bit is Alpecin Premier Tech. They have decided that they want to try and get this yellow jersey with Mathieu van der Poel. They didn't think about any green jersey points in the first checkpoint, but all in now for Filippo Ganna. Fortunately for Voikelin, but Net Company in prime place to take the yellow jersey here.
It looks like it. 1:21 still counts. They've got about 500 metres to go now, or less. Filippo Ganna, the roles are reversed. The Italian champion looking to try and take the stage for his British team. Again, probably fueled by the extra adrenaline because of the loss of Kevin Voikelin, starting to fade just a little bit, but the sort of numbers that he's going to be putting out now will be absolutely humongous. We've got now 250 metres to go as Ganna powers his way. They've still got a handful of seconds to play with. It's going to be tight across the line, but it looks like the man from Net Company, Ineos Grenadiers, the former world champion at the individual time trial, pursuit champion as well, is going to take the win. If this wasn't what we expect, but I tell you what a reconfiguration from Net Company, Ineos. Filippo Ganna crosses the line, 31 seconds clear, 53.65 k's an hour, puts Net Company, Ineos into the lead. Spectacular stuff. What a performance by the British squad there, Brian.
31 seconds, that's a huge slice to take that from. You could see the disappointment there for Alpecin. They come in here with a plan to try and get Mathieu van der Poel in the yellow jersey. Well, 31 seconds, it's not good enough for them. So Net Company is in prime position now. Huge effort here from the Italian champion, but it'll be interesting to see what Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe do, because they have got two leaders. It's interesting to see what Evenepoel said, that they're going two all in, because two against the likes of Pogacar and Vingegaard, that's what they require. So they will be coming to the line as a duo, I would suspect. Potentially Lido Trek doing exactly the same thing, but what an effort there from everybody. Everybody that crosses the line in prime place here for their team is on their hands and knees.
Exactly. Well, Ganna, the thing is, Ganna was going to be used up earlier on. Clearly he had to reconfigure because of what happened on the road. Whether that decision came from the team car, whether it happened on the road, it's done a hell of a ride. He's gone extraordinarily deep, hasn't he?
Made a decision there, and he made a decision like that, right? You go in there with Voikelin for the GC. That's what they're all talking about. So ideal plan was to do that with the Ganna and Voikelin, but quick decision from Geraint Thomas, former Tour de France champion, decided, no, we want the stage. First and foremost, we want the stage, but we want to kind of look after Voikelin. It'll be interesting to see. I think some of the riders will have waited, because you've got to remember, Matt, as soon as you get that puncture, you're going to lose at least 30 seconds straight away.
You certainly are. Well, they were quickest to every single intermediate split and the finish as well. 31 seconds clear. The only team to have gone above 53 kilometres an hour. 53.6 for the British squad, a time of 2:55.20. Alpecin Premier Tech, a very distant second at the moment, 31.03 behind. And then the ride that stood out for me is a Groupama FDJ United, the French team, still in third place there at 33 seconds. But of course, we do have the big teams still to come. UAE Team Emirates, Team Visma Lease Bike, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Lidl Trek will be off the start ramp shortly. EF Education Easy Post already out on the road, and here is Kevin Voikelin. He's going to be bitterly disappointed, but sometimes this happens. But there we go. The fact that they've managed to turn it round and still be 31 seconds clear just shows the sheer class of that ride. But I doubt this man in recent years has had to go so deep, especially the way he would have had to ridden the first half and then found something special for the second half. But Brian, this Lidl Trek team, this is a team of winners, isn't it? This is a team deep in class.
Yeah, they're confident. You know, Ayuso, G. West, Pedersen, Simmons, Skelmos, Squinch, Vacek and Verona, a quality team, and you know they are gunning for victory here. But the thing is with Lidl Trek, that's another team that might go with a double-pronged attack, Ayuso and Skelmos. But I tell you what, that's the difference of 31 seconds in my book is a difference between changing a bike or even changing a rear tyre for Voikelin.
Lidl Trek out on their course already. A few gaps opening up as they start to get up to speed. Well, there we go. We're looking at the Golden Fish. I will depart again and hand back over to Declan, Brian and John for what is going to be a riveting last few teams. See you later, guys.
Cheers for that, Matt. Yeah, thanks very much for that little interlude. We had an opportunity for a pit stop. It was an unscheduled pit stop, wasn't it, for Kevin Voikelin? I mean, I thought that was the most extraordinary thing, just the way that the Netcompany Ineos squad was able to reconfigure, and that Filippo Ganna, I mean, it must have been an awful shock to the system for him to have to go all the way to the line. I'm sure he would have been intending that he would have emptied the tank at some point, probably with about 700 metres to go. Instead, he's representing all the way to the finish line, and with the fastest time, and a very impressive fastest time it is indeed now. That's the time that the Decathlon CMA CGM team are chasing. No surprise really that they're a little bit slower at the second intermediate, but 19.5 seconds leaked as they head towards the third split and the climbs to come after that. The question is, will Paul Sexas be able to make up the difference in those closing ramps? Those ramps, they're not particularly long, are they? And is this skewing towards the bigger men?
Yeah, of course. You know, that was a huge effort for Filippo Ganna, but we know he's capable of doing that, Declan. You know, he has gone deep, and the thing is, I was listening to you guys talking about Kian Uterbrix. How many times in the preparation are you riding at, you know, for, say, 20 minutes at 55, 56 kilometres an hour? Kian Uterbrix is here for the general classification. No real surprise that some of these riders are really struggling, because when they're being propelled for most of this race at, you know, 56 k's an hour, that really hurts your legs. Try do it out in the roads, right? Try and ride at 56 kilometres and see how long you can last. These guys have been preparing for the Tour de France in the mountains and things like that. See Bahrain Victorious finishing just almost 40 seconds down. That's Martinez there. But how many of the GC contenders have really made an effort to concentrate in this discipline? I think very, very few, because they go at altitude, they're riding in the mountains, they're doing their training, but not many of them go onto the flat and try and ride at 56 kilometres an hour.
Nicola Prodholm is another rider who's probably not much enjoying this at the moment. A few cracks appearing for Decathlon CMA CGM. They do have Matthew Riccatello at the back of their lineup, and just in front of him, well, just in front of him a little while ago at any rate, was Paul Sexas. He's close to the back, but not quite on the back.
Just going back to what you were saying, Brian, with Utenbrooks as well, with that cornering, everything that comes into it, those big GC contenders, if they're not that confident on some of the corners, they get distanced a little. They have to make a huge effort, don't they, to even come back to the back wheel of their teammates.
Second last team into action will be the Visma Lease bike squad. Going to be fascinating to see how they get on. Have a surprise promise for us today. Got a couple of American riders. I wonder if they've got maybe a couple of plans around celebrating July 4th with them. And of course the final team will be E-Team Emirates XRG and Tadej Pogačar motivating the troops.
He looks
they needed motivation.
From these shots there, he looks confident. Yeah, he looks up for it, and he's trying to kind of G his team up for this. It wouldn't pass me that Pogačar takes yellow, even on that Ghana performance there. This is a team that we were just talking about there. They have to go true to the line. They have to go. You had Evenepoel in the interview. They're going in a two-pronged attack, and I know that Evenepoel, the world time trial champion, he has got to make sure, you know, that he goes to the line with his teammates here who finished third. Lipovitz finished third in this race last year, so that's a different dynamic. We've already seen it going with two to the line.
It's a fascinating situation, isn't it, to have two team leaders. They kind of, I mean, were they semi-forced into this? They big name signing Remco Evenepoel across to the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad, and of course disappointing Tour de France for him last year. Florian Lipovitz, though, how impressive was he in finishing on the podium, the white jersey winner, and now they find themselves with an embarrassment of riches. But will the combination of those two team leaders be able to unseat the likes of Tadej Pogačar?
But he said it in his interview. Evenepoel said that, you know, the only way we can compete with Vingegaard and Pogačar is by, you know, doing it with his teammate Lipovitz. So he knows that man against man, I don't think he has it, right? But having the tactical nous of having two riders, that's be the interest. I was looking forward to seeing Evenepoel see if he could go up against the dynamic duo. But he said in his interview that he needs Lipovitz, and it's going to be a two-pronged attack.
Filippo Ganna has led the charge for the Netcompany Ineos squad. Great recovery. How's he feeling after that one? Fastest man at the finish line. People have been following you since the beginning of your career, and I've never seen so much tiredness on your face. Tell us about this team time trial. In the final curve with the guys, I did my best, but the heat was really strong and I was so tired. I gave my best with Foss, and I tried to go as far as possible, but today I'm so tired. Apart from the puncture of Vauquelin, you have an advantage over Van der Poel and Alpecin. You have a comfortable margin. Tell us about the performance of the team. I think it's been the first time trial where they've all been able to reach a high level. I've been suffering from tiredness, and I hope that I did my best for them. In the classification of the tiredness, where would you rate this? Well, when I'm lucid, I'll be able to tell you. Yeah, basically high level of tiredness, I think, is the takeout from that. I mean, having to readjust like that is so challenging, so difficult, and he wanted to step up, and I think he probably has done that. He's got the fastest time. Cees Bol drops off as the road starts to rise. No surprise or shame in that one. Tish Benoot is still available to support as best he can, but Paul Sexas already putting the hurt on the remaining riders. Aurélien Paris-Pontre and Mathieu Riccatello at the back of their lineup, so it's the mountain goats and the classic specialists that are available still for Paul Sexas, who sits on the front at just 19 years of age, and not everyone thinks this is a pace that they can follow for very long.
No, it looks like he was just being distanced, didn't he? Looks like Tish Benoot just trying to hold that wheel. If he stays with Sexas, maybe they can give them a turn over the top of this last penultimate climb, then into that little descent, and let Sexas have a, maybe even if it's 20 seconds, little bit of 20 seconds recovery, that could make the difference.
The danger is, of course, that if he gets dropped, that he takes Paré-Pontre and Riccatello with him. So it's important that he's going to have to stay as connected as he possibly can. Still 4 available, the penultimate climb. Standing to the line, over 2 minutes down, so no threat there.
Yeah, I just saw that Tiesj Benoot just made a sign there. I think he's on his last legs. I think that arm out there suggested to me that he was really struggling to hold on. But just earlier, just to bring you up to speed as well, intermediate 1, Lidl-Trek went through at 0.87, so almost level pegging with the Net Company.
On the World Championships of Individual Time Trial Action as well, stage winner on the Tour of Norway. Make some noise for Eduardo Affini.
Let's bring them in, the penultimate time. The penultimate team even heading for the top time. Jonas Vingegaard, the only man who's defeated Tadej Pogacar in the last 6 years. Double Tour de France champion, and now a winner of all 3 Grand Tours, courtesy of his cruise to success in the Giro d'Italia in May. How much has he been able to recuperate from that intense effort? How much was he able to save a bit of energy in the winning of the race? How much is available for 3 full weeks of racing action? It is, though, a crack lineup. Eduardo Affini, Bruno Amarai, fine time trialists both. Victor Campenaerts, former world hour record holder. Per Strand Hagedis, Matteo Jorgensen, Sepp Kuss, Davide Picanzoli. What a lineup for the Team Visma Lisa bike squad. Balmy conditions out in the Mediterranean. Temperature dropping, we understand. The final teams perhaps with a little bit of a temporal advantage, courtesy of the wind dropping and the temperatures dropping with it. Lidl-Trek are out there. Juan Ayuso is getting plenty of support, you might expect.
It looks like they're still level pegging. Look at the distance here. They're up actually by 700s. It was 8900s they were down just before, so really are level pegging. But just as I said earlier in the program, this is a team that has to go double in at the end. They have to try and finish with 2, and I think looking at this team here of a Decathlon with Paul Sexas, he's been doing all the driving. We saw Tiesj Benoot signal, he was on his last legs, but now we're starting to see that I think Paul Sexas is going for this one. But interestingly enough, that Mathieu Riccatello, who did a very good Vuelta at the end of the year, he's looking to stay up there in the general classification as well.
Oh, the pain and the suffering. Riccatello's done a stunning job to stay in the wheel of Paul Sexas as long as he has done. It's been teammates there to watch and admire, but not necessarily to support Paul Sexas beyond the minor aerodynamic advantage of having a rider behind you. This has been a solo effort for the final 3-4 kilometres for Paul Sexas, up and over the final 2 climbs and up now to the Olympic Stadium. He's not going to record the best time. He's not going to unseat Filippo Ganna. And that perhaps is a signal of I think this is interesting, and is this going to mean that Filippo Ganna is in with a real shout, or particularly the Net Company Ineos squad, of winning the team time trial on the opening day of Tour de France?
Well, let's see. There's a couple of powerhouse teams still to come. We saw Visma Lisa bike start there. We're going to see the last team, UAE Team Emirates. This is a team on the course doing exactly the puncture here.
Skelmoza. Oh, goodness me, Skelmoza has gone, and that's a similar eventuality as occurred for Kevin Vokeland. Vokeland puncturing at a critical moment, and Skelmoza is an important GC rider for the Lidl-Trek squad. It was a little bit miffed, I think, with the arrival of Ayuso into that team. It's all in for Ayuso in GC, but Skelmoza would certainly have been a protected rider.
Yeah, he sure would have been. And the question there, you'll get obviously the answer. Lidl-Trek not waiting or slowing down at all for Skelmoza, in the hunt for that yellow jersey. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be for Ayuso or even G West today.
Yeah, I think looking at it, they've got 3 very good GC contenders, but I'm not too sure G West, after the Giro d'Italia, he would be the kind of go-to guy here. So I think, like we saw with Voekelin with this team, we're seeing something very, very similar. 2 teams out in the course doing exactly pretty much the same times at the checkpoints. Now, I think G West will want to try and stay with Ayuso. So Ayuso now is in prime place to try and take this one. They are the fastest in second check, but only just, though, by a very slim margin of 0.07 of a second. Still a long way to go, but yeah, first stage of the Tour de France, and already we're seeing some of the GC guys, you know, losing a little bit of time.
Yeah, not ideal for Matheus Kelmoze, of course, had to leave Tour de France 2025 after that horrific crash. He'll be hoping for a little bit better luck. It hasn't started just as he would have liked. They do though have Derek G. West, National Time Trial Champion of Canada, in their lineup to assist and support Juan Ayuso. And they've got 5 indeed of their lineup still together as they approach the ramps at the finish.
And 2-time champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen,
he is the established superstar of world cycling, and he is going for a 5th. Tadej Pogačar has been virtually unbeatable in 2026. Can he deliver another demonstration of sporting excellence on this team time trial course? Well, he's certainly got a team to assist him. Isaac Del Toro would probably have been the leader of virtually every other team, not quite everyone, but virtually every other team in the lineup. Felix Gross-Schartner, fine time trialist for Austria. Brandon McNulty, Niels Pollitt, Florian Vermeersch, Tim Wellens and Adam Yates were there to support all of them, who have won important stage races in their career.
Pogačar was first man off. Normally you get one rider, and that's been, you know, you're the rider that takes them up, gets them up to speed, and it's that number 1. The defending champion, he decided that he's going to be first off the blocks. He's going to set them up, because what you do as a first man is take them into the ride, get them up to the speed that you want to ride at, i.e. 56 kilometers an hour, and off they go. I think they look really good at this moment. Of course, you've got Visma Leasebike just in front. You've got another team here that has to be, you know, up there. They're thinking of a duel, but so many riders are really struggling. Yeah, the temperatures, yeah, the corners, and staying very close, but I tell you what, unless you've done it, unless you've ridden at 56 kilometers an hour in this formation, this is really tough.
Tim van Dijk no longer available for the Red Bull Baller Hansgrohe squad. A little bit not quite as fast as they would have liked through the first intermediate split.
No, a little quite far down actually. It's, you know, you go through those. That's 12 seconds. Of course, on Lidl and Net Company Ineos, but it's what do Red Bull compare to Visma Leasebike? What do they compare to UAE Team Emirates? That's the benchmark they need to really check on.
Well, Visma's just went through the first checkpoint, 1 second down. So these guys are really kind of dialed into this one. I think this will be an all-out effort. We've seen it happen in the past, and it's good to see actually Affini's here, because he had a nasty crash in the Italian Time Trial Championships. It's touch and go whether he'd be here, and he's a part of the engine room. But this is what we're seeing now. We've got Ayuso at the back end. He's got Vacek, the Czech champion, in front of him, and then Derek G. West. He's just sacrificed himself. So it looks clear to me that everybody's in for Ayuso.
Well, Lidl Trek fastest at both the first and second intermediate points. Can they maintain this position? Indeed, through the third one as well. Looking good at the moment. Still a couple of riders available, indeed, for Juan Ayuso. Will it be for Derek G. West? Will it be for Juan Ayuso? And as you say, Matthias Vacek, the Czech national road and time trial champion, also available to support. Well, it's the at the finish line, it's Net Company Ineos that still control things. And remember, you can get a full multi-view experience every stage live on HBO Max. And Derek G. West has just gone south, so you can follow the progress of his now just 2 remaining teammates through to the line, or just keep up with the metronomic progress of Team Visma Lease Bike. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, a U18 member at XRG.
What a view that is, multi-view, seeing all the difference of how those teams are set up. UAE, a little bit of some gaps opening up, but Team Visma Lease Bike, the team we're looking at now, looking really dialed, aren't they?
I think it was interesting there. I don't know if you guys saw it there, but we saw EF Education Easy Post finish there, and it wasn't Carapaz that was across the line there. It looked like it was Baudin that led their team across. So I know that he's had his injuries, Carapaz, and he's due to ride the Giro d'Italia and had to pull out very, very close to that. So it looks as if Carapaz maybe not thinking about the GC because he certainly wasn't the first rider across the line there.
Now Vacek to support Juan Ayuso in his bid to record a home success. What a cheer he would get if the home fans in Barcelona were to cheer their native son to glory. Every chance I think that he could unseat Filippo Ganna. It certainly looks as if it's a decent start to a general classification bid for the Lidl Trek man.
But still, you say that, it's only Vacek that's in front now at this stage. We're just inside 2 kilometres to go, Declan, and the Net Company had at least one rider with them at this moment. I know we're going downhill here, but this is going to be an all-out effort. For the last 800 metres, Ayuso's have to go. He's going to have to go something to beat the time of Ganna, because they've been level pegging the whole way through this race today.
Through Montjuic Park, and just plunging down. It's an up and down, bit of a seesaw experience, isn't it, in this park, and heading back up towards the Olympic Stadium, which of course was the host venue for the Olympic Games back in 1992. Still got a minute and a quarter to make it to the line. It's touch and go here, I think, but Vacek will very soon pull off and leave it up to Juan Ayuso to see what he can achieve.
UAE been through the first checkpoints, 4.75 seconds down. So Visma still quickest at that moment, and very close. And they are setting the fastest time at the second checkpoint.
Interestingly, how they're set up as well. Vingegaard is sat on just behind Pigonzoli. So they're looking after Vingegaard. Just get a good look, as now we go back to Ayuso. 400 metres to go for the Spaniard.
400 to go for Juan Ayuso. 400 metres of pain and suffering. Can he get this done in 30 seconds on a flat road? No problem at all. But we're rising at a gradient of around about 7%. And Ayuso's going to have to get out of the saddle and go some here. I think he's going to maybe just make it Willie. While it's going to be incredibly close, as it has been throughout this team time trial to this point. What a fabulous matchup it's been between Lidl Trek and Net Company Ineos. And will he be able to get there in time? It's going to be incredibly close for Juan Ayuso. Is he going to deliver the home success? No, he's just missed out. And it's Net Company Ineos and Filippo Ganna that survived for now in the top spot. Frustration for Lidl Trek, but further confirmation of just what an impressive effort that was from Filippo Ganna and indeed the entire Net Company Ineos squad.
Yeah, can I just say what I said just before, about 2 kilometres ago? And Netap Ineos had one more rider with them. That one more rider, I know they lost Boykolin, but missing Skelmos there, I think, made the difference in the end.
In the end, the scant matter of about 8 seconds, having been just fractions of second between them at the intermediate timing points. And dribbles away at the conclusion. Net Company Ineos, fastest at the first sector, third fastest at the second sector, and then at the final timing point with just a few kilometres to go. Jai Hindley going backwards. It's his second Grand Tour in succession. Former Giro d'Italia winner, very much a support rider for Florian Leibowitz and or Remco Evenepoel.
This is really going to be interesting now. I think we know Remco, but he has to take Leibowitz to the line, and that's a must, a real must. That he has to take this rider at the back all the way. Whether that's going to happen, we'll have to wait and see, because we know what Evenepoel's like. He would love to win this team time trial.
Job done for Adam Yates. He'll drop off the back of the UAE Team Emirates XRG lineup. Still a long way to go. The German champion Niels Pollitt as well. His work is done for today, but certainly not for the Tour de France. We're going to see him doing lots and lots of big engine work in the next 3 weeks as they settle in for the second half of this time trial. Still a way to go, actually. It's a sort of a bit of a surprise to see Niels Pollitt dropping away as early as that.
I was just thinking that about Pollitt, as he's done his job early, and
he's
it's
struggling.
Lipovic there now, a bike length opening up. Does he let Evenepoel in? Maybe it's a full tactic. We were discussing it, but he can't close the wheel to Evenepoel now.
They've got a big call coming up here, because Evenepoel, if he goes all in to the finish here, he could be potentially trying to win this stage for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, because Lipovic, he's really struggling here to hold on. He did say in his interview it was all about the two of them, two leaders, but world champion Evenepoel, we know what he's like, and I wouldn't be surprised if he decides that he goes himself.
Yeah, Lipovic
has to make the most of the time trials, doesn't he? I mean, as the world time trial champion, I mean, if he's to be a genuine general classification threat, these tests have to be absolutely vital, and he has to maximise his opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We're seeing riders, we're swapping from team to team to team. These teams started 5 minutes apart, but already we're seeing a lot of big engines, pull off left and right. And like I said, right from the start, this is a brutal start, brutal entry to the Tour de France. And, a lot of these teams through the checkpoints, there's only a few seconds, a handful of seconds between them all.
Florian Vermeersch getting the least shelter of all in that group. He's sits quite literally head and shoulders above the rest. Now a little bit of a separation as Lipovic becomes detached, and Remco's decided to charge on. Or will he just ease up a little bit here?
No.
Big decision to make.
No, he's not waiting. He's not waiting at all. Just as I kind of expected. Evenepoel's Evenepoel. He's a winner. He's a world champion. He's going all in here, and he's just going to leave Lipovic to do his own thing. Hopefully Lipovic can kind of hang on, but it's man against man now. He's not even interested in waiting for Lipovic. He wants to put the throttle on and go all the way to the line himself.
Bit further to the line for this team, but have they got enough engines there? We saw Bruno Amirail doing really long turns, as you would expect from the big French engine on the front for the UAE Team Emirates XRG. Meanwhile, last year's podium finisher Florian Lipovic is looking at his teammate leaping away. Less than half a minute to get to the line. Looking, well, unlikely, I think, at the moment for Remco Evenepoel. He's the world time trial champion. Gonna have enough to unseat Filippo Ganna and Netcompany Ineos through the final sequence of bends, and this has been textbook stuff for the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad. But is it just a little bit too little too late, as it were, for Remco Evenepoel? Well, he won't be too worried about losing a bit of time to Filippo Ganna ultimately. He's trying to maximise his potential against the other GC favourites. He's not going to win this time trial. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe go to third place on the standings, with Remco Evenepoel driving it to the line at an average speed of more than 53 kilometres per hour. Disappointment ultimately for Remco Evenepoel, but as I say, if he puts a bit of time into the GC favourites, he won't mind too much. The way things are going, it looks like the yellow jersey could well be going onto the shoulders of Filippo Ganna at the end of this first stage, but not if Team Visma Lease Bike have anything to say about it. They've looked pretty good so far.
Yeah, there's two riders now. Sorry, John, there's two riders now. Our defending champion Tadej Pogačar and Vingegaard. They're the two only riders that can upset Ganna and Netcompany.
Look at the team they've got left. Higginzoli, Sepp Kuss, Jonas Vingegaard and Matteo Jorgensen. What a four riders to finish this final 3K with. Of course, Vingegaard will be looking to be their highest finisher, but yeah, maybe on the 4th of July, like you mentioned earlier, Declan, is it Jorgensen or Sepp Kuss fighting for that yellow jersey?
Yeah, they did suggest that they might have something special for us, although it's very difficult, isn't it, when you've got a rider of the calibre of Jonas Vingegaard to potentially challenge for overall honours, to give up a second or so here or there. We'll see how that one plays out. Certainly if they still have 2 or 3 riders together at the line, well, they might have an opportunity to play a game.
And you go back to UAE Team Emirates, and it's Tadej Pogacar having a drink out of the bottle. Still sat on the back, on the outside of those tri-bars. Just trying to allow Wellens a bit more shelter, a bit more recovery.
Interesting to see Vingegaard riding up the line on the cow horns on the outside, and then just gets into the tuck as he gets a little bit closer to the front.
And it's Sepkus done his job.
Yeah, that'll be the case for Visma. I know it's the 4th of July, but this is all in for Vingegaard. It's about a statement. You know, it's about intent. This team time trial. Yes, it's the only race that you get to stand on the podium with the rest of your team, but this is mind games between Vingegaard and Pogacar.
Davide Pigginzoli hanging on in there at the moment as well. It's Jorgensen that is driving on the front. Former Paris-Nice winner. We'll know all about this particular format of time trial and know exactly what his role is for Jonas Vingegaard, the comfortable victor of Giro d'Italia. Question is, well, Pigginzoli's got dropped on that left-hander just heading downhill. Just gives you a sense of just how committed they are to absolutely every single aspect of this time trial. Not quite dropped though, as they cruise down. The speed ramps up, the aerodynamic trail or wake just extends ever so slightly. Pigginzoli might be able to rejoin for a while at any rate.
Yeah, even if he gets on the wheel, actually it's an aerodynamic benefit. So even if he's on Jonas's wheel for as long as possible, that does actually help Vingegaard as well, minimally. But when we're talking fine margins like we've seen at the moment, it's exactly what you want.
Well, Pigginzoli's going to throw himself at this hill. He's only got about 100 metres of this, I suspect. Jorgensen is done. His work is done to support the bid of Jonas Vingegaard to take the first yellow jersey of this event, and more particularly to minimise any loss or maybe maximise any gain. Pigginzoli's done a great job as well, and now it's all up for glory. He's got over a minute to get to the line from here, and 500 metres, I think he's got a shot at it for sure, but is he going to be able to get there in time to unseat Filippo Ganna and the Netcompany Ineos squad? Team Visma-Lease bike anchored to the line here by Jonas Vingegaard, 2-time winner of Tour de France and the reigning champion of Giro d'Italia. His face contorted in agony, but he's managing to keep those legs going like pistons.
This looks very, very good to Declan. This looks as if this is going to topple Netcompany. They'll be worried now.
Through to the line, and he's surely got enough time in hand to... Has he? Well, this is going to be incredibly close for Jonas Vingegaard. Is he going to take the first stage victory of the week? Well, we've got UAE to follow behind, but through the final bends and over across the line, he is the fastest man, and Netcompany Ineos have been unseated. Team Visma-Lease bike go to the top of the standings. Filippo Ganna accepts the congratulations and the commiserations, I suspect, of the rest of his teammates. No yellow jersey for him at the end of day one. With the Visma-Lease bike squad now in command in the bid for stage honours.
Yeah, what a ride from Team Visma-Lease bike. So you could see just in that shot, yeah, of course, we talk about the disappointment for Ganna. He was the leading Ineos rider, but you have to remember, I think that was all for Vauquelin. He punctured and wasn't there at the end. You just saw a glimpse of him on the side, and yeah, the Frenchman is going to be utterly disappointed. He knows that today an opportunity has gone away from his hands. A yellow jersey for Vauquelin could have been on the cards, and unfortunately...
Yeah. Well, just getting the time check in here, just to jump in here, that this team conceded 13 seconds at the third checkpoint, so this man at the back has got something to do in that last final kind of 800 metres. You get 3 teammates in front of him, but the question was always, you know, how is this man recovered from the Giro d'Italia? I think this answers our question. He's really up for this one, but so is this man here. He's still got Del Toro in front of him. It's still going to be touch and go, and it's just a case of, he just nodded there. Del Toro, go now. They know what they're up against. The last team. Pogacar wants this one. There's no doubt about it. He wants to win this team time trial. He's got Del Toro as the lead out, 3 kilometres to go, still a long way to go, but the 13 seconds in arrears, he needs to find that in the last 3 kilometres of this event today.
It's a lot to find when you've got a rider of the class of Isaac Del Toro to assist you out then, while Tadej Pogačar, with his talent, surely it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that they can close what is a significant gap. 13 seconds. It'd be nice to have a sense of what it's like right now. And now it's up to Tadej Pogačar. Del Toro was, I would suspect, going to try and stay in here for as long as he possibly can. He needs him for longer. 2.5 to go over the summit of this penultimate climb. First of 2, but they come late in the day. And it is just 2 riders left that can possibly claim stage honours for the UAE Team Emirates XRG squad. There's the Net Company, Ineos, the Team Visma Lease bike squad control the timesheets, control the top of it. Ultimately 8 seconds faster than Team Net Company Ineos. Lidl Trek with Juan Ayuso crossing the line, 16 seconds slower than Team Visma Lease bike and Jonas Vingegaard.
Yeah, it was very telling there that we saw that Pogačar just gave Del Toro a turn over the top of that previous climb there. And then he looked and he said, look, stay in the wheel, I need you. And you're dead right, Declan. He's needed for this one. But I think if Pogačar's getting the time checks, he has to go at the bottom of this climb. He cannot wait for Del Toro. This is a full-on lead out to the bottom of the final climb. Last 800 metres is going to be down to that number 1, Tadej Pogačar, if he wants to beat Vingegaard. Like I said, the last time check, he was needing 13 seconds, which is significant. So he knows he cannot hang around. He has to go right from the bottom.
Yes, and neither of these riders is particularly interested in leading this race at this point, I presume. But they can't give away time. They can't give away time to the rider.
It's about winning this team time trial. It's about forcing it. It's about, I am the boss of this race, and I'm going to show you, irrelevant of whether you want that yellow jersey or not. Tadej Pogačar wants to win this team time trial. Vingegaard wants to win it as well. It's all down to Pogačar now.
All down to the reigning champion, the 4-time champion of Tour de France. Isaac Del Toro will watch, and the Mexican time trial champion will send the Slovenian on with his blessings and good grace.
He's on par with Vingegaard. He's on par going through 500 metres, so this is going to be super close.
Characteristically out of the saddle, slumps back into the saddle and tries to maintain that aerodynamic tuck, but he's just trying to get as much power into the pedals at this point. The form, he's managing to keep it. 12 seconds to the line. It's going to be nip and tuck here. Will Tadej Pogačar start as he finished in 2025? It's going to be incredibly close, but it looks as if Vingegaard might have done enough here. And it's indeed it is. Victory for Team Visma Lease bike as the clock goes red. UAE Team Emirates XRG and Tadej Pogačar leaking a little bit of time. They're not going to get second either. It's 10 seconds, make that 11 seconds lost to Team Visma Lease bike, and more particularly to Jonas Vingegaard. Great effort from Isaac Del Toro as well, as he continues to press on the pedals to stay connected in general classification as well. But it's victory for Team Visma Lease bike, and at the end it was just too much of a gulf to close. 13 seconds at the final intermediate split, and that was just too much of a gap.
Yeah, it was a big effort there from Tadej, though. Massive effort to be able to even bring that back to only 11 seconds. And you can see the team effort from Visma Lease bike. They went out, they just executed it perfectly, didn't they? And yeah, what a way. It's a brilliant thing, a team time trial, to be able to win as a team. It's such a nice feeling.
Yeah, joy unbound. And I think the format of the time trial as well means that the riders can really share in that. It almost feels like it's something in between a regular team time trial and a road race, isn't it? The way they set up to send a rider up a climb. And it's Jonas Vingegaard that finally converts for them.
Oh, this is huge. Absolutely huge. like John said, a team time trial. If there's one stage to win, it's this one. You know, I mean, okay, winning in Champs-Élysées and is fantastic, but this is the only time that you get to spend, you know, a podium experience with your whole team. And not only just that, like I was saying just in the last, this is bragging rights. This is, you know, look at us. This is beating your chest moment for Visma. They came in here, they've come here to try and win the Tour de France, and they've won the Giro d'Italia so far this year with Vingegaard. This man, if he could have won this, he would have grasped that, but he just came up a little bit short. But this is a real confidence booster. Yes, you could say, do they want to try and defend this for the next 3 weeks? No, but this is a huge performance and a big deal for Visma Lease a Bike.
Yeah, still plenty of smiles around the UAE team Emirates squad as Del Toro and Tadej Pogačar exchange congratulations and thanks for their efforts. But there's no doubt about it that a psychological blow has been struck by the Team Visma Lease a Bike squad as they take the victory on stage 1 of Tour de France by 7 seconds from Netcompany Ineos. Great recovery from them, ultimately vanquished by the scant margin of 7 seconds. UAE Team Emirates XRG, 11 seconds leaked for Tadej Pogačar. Lidl Trek in the hunt with Juan Ayuso. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe crossing, at least finishing this event with Remco Evenepoel, the better placed of their 2 GC favourites. Glory for Visma Lease a Bike. Only third on the day for Tadej Pogačar. Filippo Ganna, what a great recovery, what a fantastic revision and substitution and change in tactics for the Italian champion. Not quite enough. Jonas Vingegaard that takes the victory for the Visma Lease a Bike squad on day 1. And off to a podium to collect the first yellow jersey of Tour de France. We've got 2 more stages in Spain before we head across the border. Tomorrow's a hilly rolling stage, followed by Sunday's grippy encounter, as the Pyrenees are already encountered indeed by the riders as early as day 3. That'll be a source of great excitement to a few sprinters, I'm sure, Arnaud De least among them.
It's probably good, otherwise we would have been I was so cooked, I wanted to say I'm good, but then I was like, yeah, when you were pulling on the climb, I said, come on, Seb, do this. Yeah, I was good when you were staying. I was out of this.
Victor Campenaerts wasn't even able to tell them he was cooked. He's telling them now, though. He'll be the man doing all the talking on the bus. Davide Piganzoli was thrilled as well. How excited was he at the finish? We caught up with him.
Here we are with Davide Piganzoli. Phenomenal performance. You were the strongest rider of Visma at the Giro d'Italia, apart from Jonas, of course. And here, again, on stage 1, you delivered an amazing performance. Tell us more about the job you did for him and the incredible result also for you personally.
Yeah, we have a nice plan. It was just 5 riders pulling the flat, and then just me, Sepp, and Jonas try to arrive to the finish line with the best time possible. And we try just to launch Jonas in the last part. Matteo did a super strong effort also in the downhill, so we are super happy about that.
In general, the plan was different from the other teams, so 3 in the wheel, and so you came like just for the last 2 climbs, actually.
Yeah, I have to say that it was quite fresh in the last part. I mean, on the wheel you saved quite a lot, so yeah, we just went full the last moment, and then yeah, super happy.
And what about starting the Tour the way you finished the Giro, actually, more or less?
Yeah, for sure. The start here in Barcelona is something special, something different than the Giro. Super nice to be able to be a part of this team.
Congratulations, thank you so much.
Well, it's early days, but that's certainly got them thinking in UAE Team Emirates headquarters, hasn't it? The Team Visma Lease a Bike squad piecing that together absolutely perfectly. And Davide Piganzoli is super happy. Pretty much everything, and why wouldn't he be?
And also a late inclusion in the Tour de France, wasn't he? We all were talking about Wout van Aert coming. He had that injury on his elbow, that infection. He wasn't able to come back, and yeah, I think it was Piganzoli We've got that late call up after the Giro.
Dragged him off a beach, I think, was it?
Dragged him off a beach, turned him up, and yeah, he's delivered here, and yeah, what an experience for the young Italian.
Yeah, so much talk about the absence of Wout van Aert. First time we've mentioned it today. Yeah, it is certainly. It'll be interesting to see exactly how this team can assemble and keep themselves organised. But what a start, and a good start is half the battle sometimes.
I think it's a really interesting tactic they used today. It was like 2 team time trials, you know, a 5-man and a 3-man, and you have to say hat off to Jorgensen, because he wasn't supposed to be there in the end by the sounds of things. It was Piccanzoli and Kuss, so really top performance by Jorgensen today.
Yeah, great adaptability out on the road. This is the situation on general classification. Jonas Vingegaard with that 8-second margin over Filippo Ganna. I wonder what he'll do tomorrow. Tadej Pogacar at 12 seconds, sitting pretty, but already leaking a bit of time to his main rival. Tadej Pogacar in third, ahead of Juan Ayuso by 4 seconds. Remco Evenepoel staying in touch. Del Toro, Piccanzoli, Lipovic, Foss and Sexas, who we didn't, I suppose, talk too much about during the day, but finds himself 39 seconds down on Jonas Vingegaard already. So great start for Jonas Vingegaard, decent start for UAE. Felix Grossschartner, how did he feel about it?
Felix Grossschartner, third place for today after the first stage. Tell us more about how the time trial unfolded for the team, because it wasn't easy for you, I guess.
We for sure aimed for the victory, but everybody is, and in the end I think everybody give 100%, and in the end it's third place, so it's a good start still. Of course we tried to win, but I think like I say, everybody give 100%, and it's not a bad start either.
Everything went according to the plan for UAE, the way you played your car today?
Yeah, I mean team time trial is always a little bit a special start. Everybody feels different, and like I say, we just give 100%, and some maybe feel better, some not, but in the end, like I say, if you give 100%, then it's no regret.
I mean, it's just a matter of seconds. Maybe the yellow jersey is coming tomorrow for today.
We see, for sure tomorrow is very punchy, and congrats to Visma, super strong, and yeah, tomorrow is tomorrow. Let's recover from the day, and we see.
Congrats anyway, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone gets it differently. It's a funny way to start. It was a wry smile, wasn't it, from Felix Grossschartner?
I think from my perspective, and hopefully John will give his, but in the aftermath of what's just happened between the two power teams here, I really do think that Visma Leasebike had the better tactic, you know, having 2 teams in one. You can see here that Pogacar rode the whole way, although he took back, what, 2 seconds from the last checkpoints. But I think the strategy of Visma Leasebike was really impressive today, and I think that was the difference between the 2 teams.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Brian. It was the way that Visma Leasebike really spent a lot of time looking into it. They were able to, you know, again, run those simulations, or what they can really get out of it, understand the planning, and they just executed it better than Team Visma Leasebike. We know both teams are so close and going to be big competitors for the whole 3 weeks, but yeah, today Visma Leasebike.
You heard Piccanzoli say he was fresh when he came to the last 2.
Yeah.
Fresh.
All things are relative,
there, crazy.
Yeah. It was easy sitting in the wheel. Wow. It's, you know, that's the difference. The tactics of Visma really got up well planned today, well executed, and to get their climbers in perfect place was spot on.
Yeah, they're working with an AI company, aren't they? They've got not everybody crunches the numbers and thinks about Excel spreadsheets. Some people just feel the race and they can work it out on the way to the line. You see Cav. Looking fit and healthy. Got a few jerseys to present. That'll be coming up very shortly. A great first day in Barcelona. Yeah, Team Visma Leasebike, of course, has been working with an AI company to they partnered, and yes, they, as you mentioned, John, on a few occasions they've run all sorts of simulations and permutations and crunched the numbers and sort of gone to technology to support them. Not every team has admitted to using that that kind of detailed approach.
Yeah, there's a lot doing it. You haven't admitted it. I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Visma Leasebike have been quite open with that control centre that they've had for a very long time. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, you can't really recon Barcelona, how busy a big city like this is.
That was Juan Ayuso.
So, Juan, let's start. First of all, just 7 seconds down the yellow jersey. It's a quite good performance. More disappointed or happy?
Well, to be honest, I still don't even know. I have to catch my breath first. But yeah, I gave everything to the line. Yeah, I think now I just knew that Skelly had a mechanical, and we also lost Quinn. So for sure, with these two guys, we could have been. Yeah, maybe not going to say we would have won, but for sure we could have done better. So yeah, luck was not on our side, but we still, I think, managed to save the day quite well. Mads did an incredible job, and then Vasek was just out of the league today. It was impressive. I was really struggling even to hold his wheel. So yeah, again, I mean, we were unlucky. We lost Skelly, which is one of the best guys in the world for things like this. So, but it is what it is, and we still have a long tour ahead.
You knew you could have this kind of great start at the Tour de France?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were really confident and we could pull off the win, but I mean, this is a tour, and sometimes shit happens. It happened to us today. So yeah, it is what it is, but we have 20 more stages to try and win.
Yeah, disappointing for Juan Ayuso, but still thereabouts, so I don't think too much to be disappointed about. I think he really would have liked to have won a stage in front of the home fans. Still though, just 16 seconds down on Jonas Vingegaard, and just a scant margin of 4 seconds down on Tadej Pogačar, so decent start for Juan Ayuso on the Lidl Trek squad. Matthias Skjelmose, by the way, lost 1 minute 33 seconds. Kevin Voka, similarly afflicted by a puncture, 1 minute and 14 seconds. So that's a bit of time lost already. Some images of huge efforts. Michael Matthews and Team Jayco Alula, ultimately 51 seconds down on the Team Visma Leasebike squad. Mathieu van der Poel, Alpecin Premier Tech, ultimately coming up 39 seconds short of glory. He, though, showing some pretty good form, representing for that squad. We'll see how he gets on tomorrow and the subsequent days.
Carriers out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of scissors that will be put to the test out here as we get ready to
Tour de France is underway. Stage 1 is complete. The team time trial back to open up for the first time in 55 years. Fascinating day. 19.6 kilometers in front of the riders when they began. And the company Ineos, many people's pre-stage favourites. How close do they go to glory? Recording fastest times through the intermediate timing points. Paul Sexas leading the ramp on behalf of the Decathlon CMA CGM team as a 19-year-old debutant. Kevin Voekelin, his fellow countryman, by contrast, suffering a puncture. And the frustration as the net company Ineos squad had to redesign their plan. Filippo Ganna representing with a fine time. Lidl Trek similarly had a little bit of confusion and more than one fly in the ointment for them. Power not quite there for the Decathlon squad, but Sexas with a decent start to his first Tour de France as World Time Trial champion. Remco Evenepoel leading the charge for the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe squad, and Team Visma Leasebike. Jonas Vingegaard going for a third Tour success. Lidl Trek impressing through the timing splits, but losing Matthias Skormoza to a puncture. Old Sexas burning off all his teammates through to the line. And the final team into action, representing the reigning champion, Tadej Pogacar, ahead of the lineup for the UAE Team Emirates XRG. It's Melissa Bike cruising at approaching 60 kilometers an hour through those intermediate timing points. Juan Ayuso very impressive through the final kilometers for the Lidl Trekman, as UAE Team Emirates XRG coming up short, losing riders early on. Remco Evenepoel similarly deciding to head solo to the line. Florian Lipovic further back on the climb. Textbook stuff for the Visma Lease bike squad as they unseated Filippo Ganna and Netcompany Ineos from top spot. Meanwhile, the final team on the road, Tadej Pogacar sent on by Isaac Del Toro, but wouldn't get to the line in time. Ultimately losing 12 seconds to his long-time rival, Jonas Vingegaard. Strikes the first blow for the Netcompany Ineos squad.
Voilà quels sont les 8 hommes de l'équipe qui va être honorée sur le podium pour la cérémonie.
Each moment for Visma Lease bike and for Jonas Vingegaard. He's got to have been thrilled about that.
First stage of the Tour de France, first yellow jersey, first stage victory for your boys. Could have started in a better way.
No, that's true. It's I would say it's the perfect start. It's still a long tour, obviously, but it's the perfect start. And my teammates, they did an amazing job today. They were so strong. I didn't have to do much, to be honest. They just drove me all the way to the finish, and to take the stage win for us and to take the yellow jersey. Also for me personally, after a few years without it, a few hard years, it's nice for me to experience it again.
Seeing the joy of the boys, Affini, Jorgensen, yourself at the finish, it just shows that it means so much to win a stage like this one.
It does. It's the biggest race of the world. It's an amazing victory for us, and especially when it's a team time trial where we're 8 guys. I have 7 teammates who sacrificed them for me today, and yeah, it's not only I'm the one wearing the yellow jersey after today, but they also won the stage, and we have to really enjoy this. And I want to thank my teammates and my team for this.
Everything went as planned?
I would say so. Everything went as planned. We had this tactic, and yeah, it paid off in the end.
The last time the winner of the Giro went on to capture the first yellow jersey of the Tour de France was back in 1993. His name was Miguel Indurain. He went on to win the Tour. Promising for you.
Oh, I mean, of course I'm here to do the best possible GC and to try to win, but it's only stage 1. There's a long way left, a long way still of the Tour de France, and yeah, we have a small gap now, but of course this is the perfect start for us. I couldn't dream of a better start, to be honest.
But this jersey, this yellow jersey, has a real meaning for you.
Oh, it does. Obviously, I mean, as I said before, I've had a few tough years for obvious reasons, but yeah, coming back to the Tour, the Tour is the biggest race, and yeah, just to be aware of the yellow jersey is something special. That's something that I will enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah, generous words from Jonas Vingegaard. Far from jaded, is he? It's early days for him after his exploits in the Giro d'Italia. Now retains an 8-second lead over Filippo Ganna. 12 seconds up on Tadej Pogacar. Ayuso at 16. Plenty of big names already at the head of general classification, so we've shuffled the pack on day 1. There aren't too many riders in there, probably just Ganna and Foss that weren't part of the general classification conversation ahead of this Tour de France. And indeed, we're hearing that it's Egan Bernal that has that green jersey. He's going to be wearing the green jersey tomorrow. Tadej Pogacar, fastest man up the climb, gained a couple of seconds on Jonas Vingegaard. Well, there's the situation. It's Juan Ayuso that will be wearing white tomorrow. Best young rider. But 3 former Tour de France winners in the yellow, green and polka dot jerseys. A vanishingly rare occasion. Well, the question is, how long will he keep it? How do you go about controlling the race tomorrow?
Yeah, I think you still look at who's going to be going after that stage tomorrow. So, yeah, maybe you lean on those other teams like Alpecin, Premier Tech to give you a hand and control the race.
Visma Lease a Bike sigue en amarillo. Visma y Vingegaard
Visma Lease a Bike is in yellow.
El Tour de Francia
still in yellow because they've won the first stage of the Tour de France.
Sobre tus pensamientos sobre este contrarreloj de equipos.
Feelings about this extraordinary time trial. Well, it's a TTT that has been very tactical. All of the protocols ready and organized rider by rider, so that UAE stayed with 2 riders 3 kilometers from the finish line. Visma had a lot more time. Pigansoli launching
Escuchamos una grita muy grande de los miembros de Visma. ¿Qué significa una victoria por Visma? También contra Pogacar y UAE,
obviamente. This mean for Visma, and especially against UAE? Without a doubt, that's a very important point, because this victory is a lot more than just the first place on the podium. It's more about the morale. Because maybe they think that their team is maybe just a little bit less strong than them, so it'll give Visma a lot of confidence.
Era un día calor.
That's true.
Teníamos mala suerte en los equipos, pero todo va
there was a lot of heat.
Mañana, etapa 2, también aquí en
Cataluña, some of the teams, but tomorrow we're looking forward to a second stage in Barcelona. Richard Plug and all of the Visma Lease a Bike squad naturally absolutely thrilled with that. They pieced that one together quite beautifully.
Congratulations. That's good. Thank you. Congratulations. Incredible.
Yeah, plenty of plaudits to be accepted throughout the squad. And the question is, how do they play it from here? Egan Bernal waiting for an opportunity to head to the podium to collect that green jersey.
It's almost better than a debrief, just hearing all the riders chat afterwards, isn't it? You get,
it's those candid comments. Much more is revealed, isn't it? It's a bit more honest. Juan Ayuso, he would have loved a stage win, wouldn't he? He would have loved a yellow jersey, but a white one is at least an opportunity to present to his fans. Good start of the tour for him with the Lidl Trek squad. And this is, as you mentioned, Brian, this is a huge moment for all the team.
This potentially is a one-time in a lifetime experience. You know, how often do you get to share the podium on winning a Tour de France stage with your teammates? It doesn't come around that often. I said right from the start, it's been a quite brutal start for a lot of these teams for the first stage, the team time trial here, but these guys got it tactically right, had the power and delivered a fine performance.
Yeah, huge moment, and as you say, on day one they had the jersey and all of the riders on the podium. Vingegaard joined by Eduardo Affini Amilai, Campagnarts, Pastrana, Hagenes, Jorgensen, Kuss, Piganzoli. And I think Piganzoli winning the award for the most enthusiastic stage winner. Familiar feeling for Jonas Vingegaard. He's won 4 solo successes in his career to this point, and this one will mean just as much. 4 solo stage successes, I should say, as well as the 2 overall victories.
Merci de les saluer encore, les lauréats de la première étape, le team Visma-Leasebike avec Jonas Vingegaard, Davide Piganzoli, Sepp Kuss, Matteo Jorgensen, Bruno Orbirai, Victor Bernards, Bertrand Hagenes.
The vlog's going to be good from Victor after this one, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised he isn't vlogging right now, to be honest. But definitely something that'll keep us entertained for the next 3 weeks.
Merci beaucoup, merci à tous et félicitations à l'équipe Visma-Leasebike qui commence le Tour de France comme elle l'avait terminé en 2025, à savoir par une victoire.
Beautifully pieced together. And as Alberto Contador mentioned, I mean, the tactics were key as well. I mean, just how many riders you had available to you and how you deployed them. And a bit of luck as well required. Try to stay puncture free. Further confirmation, 21:47 is all it took for 19.6 kilometers. Blistering pace, especially when you consider the ramps up into Montjuic Park and ultimately to the Olympic Stadium. Well, the familiar side of Jonas Vingegaard in yellow.
Mesdames et messieurs, merci d'accueillir le maillot jaune. Aquí està el mallot patrocinat per LCL, el mallot groc del Tour.
He's off the podium to collect that yellow jersey. How long will he hold it? He doesn't want to lose time to any other GC favourites, but maybe, just maybe, won't be too bothered about losing it to a non-GC contender who isn't too far. Is tomorrow a stage for the breakaway? It's a pretty choppy looking one.
Lliurats per la senyora Milagros Tolón, ministra d'Educació, Vocacional, Training i Esport, el senyor Benjamin Haddad, del governament francès, responsable per als efectes
proud moment for the 29-year-old Dane.
Directeur général de LCL, le maillot jaune parrainé par LCL depuis 1987. Jonas
so far this season, he's raced 3 stage races. He's won all 3 of them, including Giro d'Italia. And compared to other seasons, as he alluded to in his comments during his interview, this has been a much, much smoother lead-in to the Tour de France than he's had in previous years. And right now he's got the early advantage. Just 8 seconds over Filippo Ganna, 12 seconds to Tadej Pogacar. At the end of 3 weeks, it might matter little, but it's a nice little psychological blow and an advantage held. It's easier to be controlling the lead than it is to be chasing the race. Tomorrow we'll get going with a little bit of road racing. Tarragona to Barcelona tomorrow, 168.5 kilometers. First time appearance for Tarragona in Tour de France. Racing fundamentally along the coast back towards Barcelona. Got no less than 4 categorized climbs along the way. The early assault on Côte de Bègue at Seccat level, over 6 kilometers. And then we've got the 1,600-meter ramp in Montjuic Park. It's the look of Volta Catalunya about this stage. And back to Barcelona Stade Olympique at the end of 168.5 kilometers tomorrow. Race along the coast. The a grippy finale. Are we going to see a change at the top of general classification? Egan Bernal has, it's enough on your side really to see Egan Bernal in the green jersey. Almost looks a bit sheepish about the fact that he's wearing that one. Be happy enough to handle that one. He does look as if this was not in the plan. Happened to be at the front of the rotation as they went through the first intermediate point, I suspect is how that one worked out.
Un grand merci au vainqueur du Tour de France 2019, Egan Bernal, qui a été donc le plus rapide.
Nonetheless, great to see him on the podium. After all that he's been through in his career as well, he's there and available for Vogeland. Difficult start for Timo Arensman. Somewhat surprising indeed that he wasn't there for the Netcompany Ineos squad. Close to the back end, so it wasn't exactly the perfect day out for Netcompany Ineos. Frustrating in some ways for them. Maybe Arensman losing a bit of time early on will in some ways sort of reduce the pressure on him. It may well allow him and his talents to blossom a little bit further in the race. He has spoken in the past about how it doesn't exactly, the limelight doesn't exactly suit him. And so with the early lead in the young rider classification by a small matter of 10 seconds from Isaac Del Toro.
Il est catalan, il est de Barcelone, c'est Juan Ayuso.
Yeah, well, he made it to the podium, so it's a broad beaming smile from Juan Ayuso for his local fans.
Et aux côtés également, à nos côtés également donc de Victorine Soncier, responsable communication nationale pour Chris. Merci aux opticiens Chris de leur soutien et de leur partenariat avec ce...
Winner of the Vuelta al Algarve at the beginning of the year, then things got a little bit difficult, not finishing in Paris-Nice and Basque Country. Third in the recent Tour of Rhône-Alpes. And Juan Ayuso tuning up nicely with the white jersey at the outset of Tour de France. His first one at the head of the Lidl Trek squad, and it's much to take from that first day, even if it wasn't exactly just as they would have hoped for.
La suite de cette cérémonie protocolaire, il y aura également, comme sur chaque contre-la-montre, le prix parrainé par Tissot tout à l'heure, puisqu'il y aura l'équipe.
Ultimately 10 seconds gained on Isaac Del Toro, Pigansoli. Success. 23 seconds back, 19 years of age. Gregoire still in the hunt for that one. Romain Gregoire in the hot seat for quite a while for the Groupama FDJ squad. Fifth in the young rider category, Gregoire. 12th overall. And your top team on day one, no surprise. The winner of the team time trial. So some wrist bling for all. It'll go down well.
Aquí s'emporta el premi un rellotge Tissot com a l'equip més ràpid, a l'equip que lidera Vingegaard i els seus companys. Aquí els veiem.
Le prix parrainé par Tissot,
team is rewarded.
Par Jonas Vingegaard, Davide Piganzoli, Sepp Kuss,
team prize, by the way, on day one is the accumulation of your fastest three riders.
Et Eduardo Affini, vos applaudissements s'il vous plaît pour accompagner les coureurs de l'équipe Visma Lease Bike.
Vinga, anem a convidar-los amb un fort aplaudiment, empenta per demà.
Yeah. Some excellent bouquet tossing, but the tossing watches. It's going to get very excited.
Merci beaucoup, merci à toute l'équipe Visma Lease Bike qui avait remporté le contre-la-montre par équipe en 2019. Vous aurez remarqué qu'ils jettent les bouquets, mais ils gardent les montres. Les montres Tissot qui repartiront évidemment dans le clan Visma Lease Bike. Le moteur de la performance du jour, un chrono a réussi encore 21 minutes et 47 secondes.
Well, next up here on your channel of choice, I've got Moto Endurance World Championships, the 8 Hours of Suzuka, coming up tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central European time. Formula E World Championship continues at Shanghai, race 2, 8:45. Women's UCI Mountain Bike World Series at La Tuile. Men's cross country as well. 1:15 tomorrow Central European time. And the Tour de France gets underway again. Stage 2 from Tarragona to Barcelona from 1:30 here on Eurosport.
Thank you very much. Thank you, congratulations.
Congratulations all round still for Jonas Vingegaard and friends. They'll reset and go again. It's only just beginning. But beginning in fine style. This is why they like to get rid of the yellow jersey sometimes. More responsibilities for Jonas Vingegaard. We'll leave you with these fine images of a great start to the Tour de France for the Visma Lease bike squad. The team time trial delivering us great entertainment. Established general classification at the start of the 21 stages of racing. We're back in Barcelona and Embrun for tomorrow's second stage. From myself, Declan Quigley, from John Mould, from Brian Smith. It's been great to have your company. We'll be back in harness tomorrow. Please do join us for that. But for now, from all of us here, it's goodbye.